Hey guys, just before we start, I want to remind you that the current giveaway we're having with Papa Macros, that's $250 worth of free food coming your way. Stick around during the podcast. You'll see some ads pop up. Please follow up on those ads. Go to our IG to know more. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications and that notification bell. Click on that and you'll get every message, any notifications, any new podcasts, any new content popping up on the screen. So please sit back and enjoy the podcast. Stop scrolling. Do you want to score yourself $250 worth of Papa Macros meals? Now's your chance. Go to threeog.shop or
go to Papa Macros and use the code MuscleTalks at checkout.
Go get it now.
People are trying to always find a shortcut, do things faster.
I think so.
Faster isn't always necessarily better. For most professional bodybuilders, that's where their career ends genetically.
Really?
I personally think once you win your pro card in the non-tested feds, it's very hard to climb because you're talking about the absolute genetic elite after that. Because everyone's got a pro card, the whole levels just jump right up.
Yeah.
And so
the pond's bigger now. You're the small fish.
Especially in the modern world, we switch on 24/7. I think if you don't have that off switch, I think you burn out and you start to, maybe I wouldn't say spin out of control, but perhaps make a bigger deal out of things when there shouldn't be. Because as I said before, there's a solution to everything, I think. Because you have that concentration of amino acids in your blood that stays longer in your system as you sleep. And so your body repairs much more efficiently. And I found that, through practice myself over the years, it does really work. Look, at the end of the day, protein is protein. If your body needs it, it'll absorb it. If it doesn't need it, if it's in excess, it'll filter it out through your kidneys. It's as simple as that.
He's sucked in by the black hole. Looks good in an exosuit. Gets down to 4% body fat. He does a cool bicep flex during a refeed. Did he lose the 5 kilos prior to jumping on the plane for this podcast? We'll find out. He loves acting and acting up. Protein is not just protein when needed, when time's consumed. Wants to be like Elon Musk, but with an Arnold Schwarzenegger body. He's big into science, cars, planes, space, fitness, politics. I may have met my match. Please help me welcome, is he the Maverick, Iceman, or Goose? The man who was going to be a fighter pilot, Phil Strong Babitsky.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. There you go. So I thought that was... We'll get into the black hole because I've got a question here in relation to that. But we'll start off firstly with, did you lose the 5 kilos before coming here?
Of course not.
Of course. And why not?
Well, I tried hard.
It was 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago. I tried. I dieted, but
mate, it's taken me nearly a whole year to lose to lose.
I guess
10 kilos.
I guess it's hard because when you don't have that end goal, where you have to step on stage. You're a bit more relaxed, and I'm one of those people where I honestly think that sometimes in the off season, you just got to relax and let go a little bit. Be yourself, enjoy life. You can't be super lean year round, and that's all you think about because then you're not really living. There's not much going on and you don't really get to experience life, and that's kind of sad. And so don't get me wrong, I don't get fat, but I don't go too crazy on my diet in the off season. I enjoy this, I enjoy a bit of that.
So tell me, because I think which I've mentioned, I've never competed and I'm hopeless when it comes to food. I believe, and I'm quite happy to admit it in a way, I think I do have an eating disorder. I've had it for 3.5 decades. And what that means is this: I just can't let go for too long. I can't be an ice cream every night kind of guy. And if I do, it only can last for so long before I build resentment on it. So what I'm trying to ask, the question I wanted to ask you was, being that you get into such amazing shape, and you can do it on a dime because you've gotten into amazing shape, how do you, with the mindset, allow yourself to let go between certain seasons without completely ending up saying, I'm not going to go into the deficit of, and I'm not going to go into the discipline of getting a competitive body, because it is quite the task.
Absolutely agree with you. I think it's a whirlwind. I think once you get into it, you start to spin out of control because you never feel like you're lean enough, and it becomes an obsession.
I hear you. I know that. Yes, yes.
Exactly right about what you said. You know, it's an eating disorder, and I know that I've got it too because, let's be honest, I probably don't see food as food anymore. All I see it is as macros, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and I can't help myself. And
admittance is good. Admittance is good about this eating
100%,
disorder.
100%.
I've learned it through this podcast, you know.
Absolutely.
Admittance is good.
Don't get me wrong, I love food. I love to eat it. I love all kinds of cuisines. But yeah, letting go is hard sometimes, especially when your definition kind of starts to go a little bit. You think, oh, that's all right. I've still got a little bit of it. I'll add a bit of this, a bit of that, have some of that, some of this. Start to go a little bit more. I guess it's just a gradual, I wouldn't call it a slip, but a shift. And because I've tried just going hard off a diet before and didn't end well. I had a huge blowout once, many, many years ago. And that gets you really depressed because you think to yourself, oh, all that hard work, it's out the window. And so I guess what I did was I promised myself to approach it differently, to enjoy myself, but don't think of it as like a cut-off point. Right, I can do whatever I want because it'll mess with your mind. And so start to add this, start to add that, and sort of accept the gradual changes of you getting a bit fatter. And once you do that, it's a bit easier to accept, okay, I'm not in competitive shape anymore. And it doesn't bother me because at least I'm enjoying life, I'm enjoying food, I'm focusing on other things in life, family, friends, career, whatever it is.
I think just listening to what you were saying just now, I obviously, if you've been watching, you've been a great supporter, I must say, and always.
Pleasure.
You've been an amazing supporter, and you don't understand how grateful I am of anybody that gives me, and Chris, but us, or personally, a lift. It's very rare in this world, and I've learned to have to lift myself. So I'm quite happy just to keep trying to lift myself and not need anyone's affirmative comments to make me feel better. But having said that, you probably noticed that I went to 107 kilos. I'm an 83 kilo guy. I went to 107. And the thing is, I wore fat well, meaning it just goes everywhere. It's on my arms. I mean, of course, I've got the love handles and a bit of the gut, but I've got it on my legs. I've got it on my calves. I've got it on my ass. I've got it everywhere. It just distributes nicely, right? And the funny thing is, when it distributes nicely, it's kind of like on under the radar. You don't notice it because it's distributed nicely around your body. And shirts feel a bit tighter. You think you're muscly, but you're not. And then you think about myself, 3.5 decades of training. I don't look like I've even gone to the gym. And even people come and question me that know me, thinking they're shocked because they've known discipline for a long time. So I think that though I think it's either in your DNA. For me, I just know if I'm structurally well, I'm mentally well. If 100%. I'm structurally well, I'm making better. I'm better in business. I'm better everywhere. And I just can't fight the fat demons. They seem to grab me first thing in the morning, throughout the day. Every deal is like a sigh, but when you're fit, sharp and healthy, you just seem like that's not the narrative you're playing in your head. You're just going with your goals. So for me, I guess what I was trying to say is I think we all should be happy with putting on weight, but for some of us, we're not happy. I'll admit it, but that's okay. It's not that I want to be anorexic. It's not that I want. When I say an eating disorder, let me be clear. It's like you. I just calculate everything.
Yeah.
I look at my protein base on the plate. I look at my veggies, and I can't. And we're going to bring up the cake. I can't look at cake believing that it has the nutrients, even though it's the same calorie content to a plate of food that has nutrients. Though I'm in deficit, I don't give a fuck about deficit. I give a fuck about my nutrients.
Exactly.
And that's why I think I have this argument with everyone talking about cake. You sum it up well. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, I just think I'm like you. I look at my plate carefully. I don't know why I can't stop, and I'll never stop, and I don't want to stop. Hey guys, Steve here from Muscle Talks podcast. I just want to say a big thank you for everyone that's subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Why subscribe? It allows us to get a bigger reach, a bigger audience, and get those that love and have a massive love affair with bodybuilding onto this podcast.
some of the elites. We're talking to them now. We've had some of them already on. So please subscribe and also hit the notification bell. Why? It notifies you when we've launched a new podcast, some great new content that you might be interested in. So we want you to get the very best from us. So please subscribe, notification bell, and let's get back to the podcast.
I fully agree with you. I think there's just human nature as well. I think we're always looking for the reassurance, not from just others, but from ourselves. Always looking at those mile markers to see where I'm at in comparison to where I've been, in comparison to everyone else. And that's totally okay. And I think I get trapped in that cycle as well. As long as you're able to understand that you're within that mindset and you can snap out of it, or you can set those particularly achievable goals, you're okay. Because eating is normal. We evolved over millions of years to eat, to store body fat, because that's why we survived and thrived as a species and as a civilization. And people don't realize that. You can't be walking around super shredded a year long. It's just, there's photos of Arnold Schwarzenegger off season. He's got a gut. He doesn't even have a six pack back in the day.
Yeah, I know that.
He completely shrunk, and that's okay. And I think that really helps you, I guess, stay longer in the game. Because if you are like a lot of the guys and girls nowadays, you just burn out. And I think it's about having this healthy mindset and being able to maintain it, and recognizing the fact that you're not going to be super shredded all the time. It's just not possible.
I don't think you really want to be.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
And you feel like crap.
Well, not only do you feel like crap, I know clothes don't feel great when you're super shredded.
No.
Clothes don't feel when you're overweight good. Yeah. I mean, you've got to find that middle ground.
Absolutely.
And I think also, having spoken to you a little bit through our social channels, that you seem like a guy that thrives on excelling.
Absolutely.
And thrives on competition. So I guess every day you definitely want to turn up with a torso you're happy with, so you can put that to one side and know that you can hold your shield and your sword up to take on life as a soldier, as whatever you want to call it. And then you can bring your mindset in to understand how to take on challenges. But that's why I said to you, when I'm kind of overweight, everything falls. I don't have a sharp mind. I don't have the confidence. But when I rock up and, Chris is looking fit, or you're looking fit, and I look fit, it's a kind of nice synergy in the room.
Yeah.
No one needs to be ripped up. I don't need to see anybody that's in competitive body mode, but it's a good feeling that you've entered the room physically, you're matching your peers on who you would like to hang around with.
Absolutely. And it's this whole, as I call it, there's energy in the room, a certain energy that sort of maintains that level where everyone is at. And it's kind of nice because then you bounce off each other. And
that's why at the beginning when we started this podcast, and I was this roly-poly kind of guy, I kept seeing these guys around me, and I was telling Chris, oh my God, I probably don't match up to how I see bodybuilding. And I still don't, because I've got another 8 kilos to go. But the way the 8 kilos are going, I'm not going to do 5 kilos in 2 weeks because it will withdraw me too much. I think my 8 kilos will come towards spring. I think I've got a spring mentality to get through winter very slowly, to maintain muscle, to lose body fat.
And that's fine. That's okay.
And that's the best way, I think, to go about it.
And you know what? If it works for you personally, then that's great. You found something that particularly works for you.
Yeah, most definitely.
And if you're happy with it, go with it.
Okay. So we've introduced in 2024 a few new topics. So I'm going to start with
2024.
What did I say? 2022.
25.
Did I 25? Oh my God.
Close enough.
It's 2024. You're right. Okay. Late nights. So Rocky Balboa, the movie.
Yes.
He says, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's mean and nasty, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you down to your knees, keep you down there permanently if you let it. You, me, nobody can take on life. But it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. How hard you can take and keep moving forward. This is how winning is done. So basically says to his son, if you're not worth what you're worth, and you're not willing to take the hits, stop pointing the finger to everyone else. Cowards don't do that, and you ain't that. So tell me, is that how life is?
Absolutely. I think as you get a little bit older, I guess you start to develop life experience, and you realize that you found your way out of problems, or you found a solution to something, and you get that experience of being able to find a solution and get out of a problem. So it just becomes routine. Even if you something happens, it's okay. Because you know you can always rely on yourself. As my wife likes to say, you're like a bird on a branch that's about to break, you know. The bird doesn't care if the branch breaks because it has its, you know, confidence in its wings. It's not going to fall.
That's very... tell me about your wife.
Kate is her name.
Yeah, go ahead. She sounds interesting.
Yeah, she's a good woman, very good woman.
Just
Love her to
with that
bits.
go on.
She's in marketing.
Well, she puts up with you, so yes.
Of course.
She must.
Well, that's a whole different story.
Yes, go on.
She's in marketing events. No, she's just a very intelligent, very smart woman, and I think I've been very, very lucky. And, you know, she teaches me a lot of stuff, and it's awesome. It's a very symbiotic relationship. We really bounce off each other. There's a lot of support and care. And that saying that she told me really stuck with me. She told me
What's
that...
stuck on me right now?
That's right. And
what about you, Chris?
Yeah, I like it.
The first time she told me when we were going out,
sitting on a broken branch and it can break at any time, and just knowing that you can fly.
It doesn't matter if it breaks because you'll still be airborne. Wow. And she told me that probably a few months into our dating years ago, and it really stuck with me, and it's so true. As long as you have some experience and you're confident in yourself and your skills, it doesn't matter what life throws at you, because you know you'll be able to come back, you know you'll be able to overcome anything. And I think having that mindset means you're unbreakable, because life is all about challenges. No matter what you pursue, you'll get there. It may take longer, but you'll get there eventually, because you are able to push through the difficulties.
There is that center, isn't it, where do you go for the hard or take on the challenge, knowing that you're not guaranteed the destination? Well, Alex Hormozi said that. He goes, you can put all this work in for 5 years to, say, build a business, and you're doing all the right things, and you just don't build it.
No, it happens. That's just life.
Yeah. So I think it's similar to that broken branch. You can sit on it, and you can sit as long as you like, but eventually it might break under you, and you've just got to fly. And like I said, a lot of things in life do break. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Like I said, there's working hard. Obstacles shouldn't be that the destination is guaranteed. It should be that you're hungry to get to that destination. Yeah. And I mean, I know cliches, it might sound, people talk about the journey, but how much do we learn inside that journey?
100%. It changes you as a person. I think any experience changes you as a person, but if you really undertake a task, something really complicated, which you know the odds of you succeeding are significantly lower, I think it changes your perception on life, reality, and how to approach things in general, I think. And I think it takes a lot of courage to go through something which you know may not yield any results. It's hard. It's mentally hard because you're spending all this time and you realize, you know, time is one thing you can't get back, and it sucks. But it's just the way it is, I think. But at the same time, you shouldn't shy away from making, you know, what I like to call a calculated gamble. So, for example, if something's a complete pipe dream and you know the odds are 1,000,000,000 to 1, don't bother. You know, why waste time if you know deep down it's not going to work, it's not going to happen. You know, move on to, you utilize your skill set, go do something else. I've got actually an interesting story about that. Because
please.
2017, when I won my natural pro card, probably best shape of my life, really lean, plenty of mass, good posing, and I had a couple of people approach me and they said, "Oh, you look great. If you're serious about making money and really getting your name out there, you'll have to jump into IFBB." I said, "Okay." And they said, "Well, for that, you obviously know what you have to do. You're going to have to cycle performance enhancement drugs." And I said, "That's fair enough. It's interesting, something I'd consider." But then I just went away and did the numbers in my head. I said, "Look, all right, I was 30? Say 5 years, 7 years from now, I'll win my pro card. Maybe." For most professional bodybuilders, that's where their career ends genetically.
Really?
I personally think once you win your pro card in the non-tested feds, it's very hard to climb, because you're talking about the absolute genetic elite after that. Because everyone's got a pro card, the whole levels just jump right up.
Yeah.
And so
the pond's bigger now, you're the small fish.
Exactly right. And you think to yourself, well, what are the odds of me making it top 10 at the Mr. Olympia if I qualify? The professional level. Not great. It's not because I don't look amazing. I will look amazing. It's just everyone is at the absolute genetic extreme. And so the odds of you making top 10, yeah, maybe one day. Does anyone remember the top 10? Not really. Are you going to be able to make a living off top 10?
Well, to be honest, I only know, and just to interrupt, is
that's all right.
Even some of the top 10, the only ones I know who are very smart at marketing themselves outside of the industry. like Milos Sanchez, he was in the top 10, but God, he's very loud with some of his bodybuilders, and I love listening to him. He's a very smart
absolutely, I
man,
agree.
extremely smart man. But he's made himself stand out for his love affair with bodybuilding. He's relatively in shape, but now he's a coach. He's a super coach, and so in other words, you're right. The numbers aren't very good, and people, just because you get a pro card doesn't guarantee you anything. Just keep going.
Yeah, that's all right. Absolutely agree with you. And I think if I come to TM, great. I might get a sponsor, might make enough to be reasonably comfortable. Will I be remembered? Will I do something great that'll completely solve my problems? Of course not. What are the odds of me making top 5? Probably non-existent. I was just realistic with myself, and I said, am I willing, and let's be honest, to put my body on the line in terms of my health?
Of course.
To be at that level and potentially get top 10? No, it just didn't add up in my head. I said, you know what? I've done pretty well in natural feds. I'm going to stick with them. I'm happy where I am at. I've built a pretty good physique, I'd imagine. And I think pushing to somewhere towards something which I know probably won't yield what I think it'll yield, is it worth the gamble? Probably not. I want to have a family. I want to have kids one day. I want to, travel the world. I want to do my engineering career. I like movies, Is it worth it? No. So I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe it isn't. Plus, there's plenty of examples that guys have done that and they did it for a few years and then disappear, never hear from them again. So, and it's not about the fact that I would have to start from the bottom, work my way up, win contests, win a pro card, etc. It's not about that. It's about that, will I get to that goal of being the best of the best? Because mentally, the way I am, is I'm very competitive. I like getting to the top. If it's not there, cool. It doesn't really bother me that much because at least I know I've maintained and persevered and I've got my health. I'm focusing on other things in life. And it's not a complete sacrifice with nothing at the end, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think before starting this podcast, I mean, it's very open conversation now. It's all changed. It was very taboo when I grew up about steroids. No one really spoke about it. And it was just a hobby. It wasn't just on competitions. People would take it. But very rare people took it. It wasn't like everyone was on it. Everyone believed they were on it, but it was predominantly, the word meatheads, gym bros were taking it. And we really never had no scientific proof. I didn't take it. Did I take a cycle? I did. I took a cycle when I was 50. I've mentioned that a million times on this podcast. Was it great? Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'm 55 this month and I haven't taken another cycle. It's kind of like I learned with the cycle, it still involved everything else with the cycle. In other words, heavy training, dedicated training, focused training, the food, the this, that, everything.
But now you've got extra variables that you have to worry about.
That's right. So the thing is, and it did blow me out. I thought, because less is more, and I kept thinking if I put more into me, there'll be more results. And actually, it backfired. It was like, it was a complete backfire. Like, I lost my appetite. I suffer from, I say it openly, colitis. It ignited my colitis. It was, and I'm a stubborn bastard and kept trying to persist and push through it. And actually, like I said, I was completely ripped and muscular, but on the inside, it wasn't good. Yeah. But it doesn't scare me if I think I want to do a cycle again. It doesn't. But I'll just tell you something. What has given me a lot of joy during this podcast is the amount of natural athletes that are in IFBB. So I'm just letting you know, Emad, who won IFBB, he's been on the podcast. He's natural, and he got classic physique overall pro card. Abby Bolton, that's just done Arnold's, is going to do the Arnold's in the UK, and who's done Olympia, natural. And she pointed out a few other people to me who are at the Arnold's now and who do Olympia. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes we believe what's not true. In other words, our perception is that you may need to go on PEDs and take performance-enhancing drugs or steroids. I don't think you need to. I think once you put that narrative to one side, that it's going to take what you said. You're very competitive. I think you can do it. I'm not saying you can do it now. You could do it. I think you mentioned in one of your posts you want to go to a natural Olympia.
That's right. That'd be great.
That's one of your goals.
Yeah.
But go do it. What I'm saying is, and I'm not saying if ticking off the box, like you said, is to do an IFBB comp. Last week we had Dimitri. Dimitri has something Greek name. He's a natural competitor. He did IFBB Pro last year. I didn't even know. So he did IFBB Pro League. So I'm telling you, I can't pick now carefully who's on and who's not now.
Yeah, and it shouldn't matter. It's a personal choice.
Yeah, it's a personal choice. But what I'm saying is the great thing is now I believe that sky's the limit for anyone. I believe it comes down to not only who wants it more, who smashes it more at the gym and does
100%.
everything per food and just plays the fine line. Like I'm talking about, you are a race car that literally knows how to hit 8 grand in revs, but knows how to back it off without blowing the motor up. So I think that's what I see. Where some people have the mindset, and I did look, because when you inject in your ass or in your shoulder, something happens. I'm going to tell you a funny story. It was a guy, Jim Bro. He said to me, when you take steroids, the girls are going to smell the testosterone. And
is that right?
But I laughed my head, but I believed it. Because I thought, maybe they do. And it's true. All of a sudden, you become this, you even walk differently when you take it.
Yeah.
So what I'm alluding to is, there's this bullshit that goes on in your
Absolutely.
head. But I think the mindset creates the growth too.
Absolutely. Everything's mindset.
Everything's mindset. So I'm just saying, you do it, and then suddenly you feel like you built like a brick shit house, even though you're not, and you walk around and you go, the girl's smelling the testosterone. You know what I mean? Like that's
Absolutely.
And I've got to love him. He was a Lebanese guy. I can love him more, but he made me laugh, man. He was.
But is
Huh?
it?
Good at sales.
He was good at sales, mate. But but every time I kept saying, I want to do more, he goes, I don't think so, Steve. And I went, no. He goes, oh, fucking just do what you want.
And you know what? It's true. I honestly do believe the sky's the limit, but I think sometimes I know my own limits as well.
Yeah.
And I think
I can implode.
exactly. And I think knowing my own limits.
Can you implode?
Not recently.
No. Can you? Are you the type that sometimes goes to the point where where you run the car off the cliff? Yeah, so me too.
And I think I can do that. I have in the past, but that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes knowing your absolute limit is knowing when to, like you say, to back off slightly so you don't blow the motor.
Yeah.
And I think in knowing that, I think you get into a healthy mind space where you can push yourself to the limit, but at the same time, you're aware of your actual limits. And so, because as you know, this game is about longevity, how long you last.
There's no finishing line in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you burn yourself out too quickly, or if you do something which you know deep down may not be quite right, you want to last. And I think that's a lot of problems we're having now with a lot of athletes, not just in bodybuilding, sports in general. Yeah. I think longevity is the big one, I think. And a lot of people overlook that potentially.
Well, let's look at, I don't know if you follow, you follow AFL.
Yes.
Who do you follow?
I like Essendon.
Essendon.
They're not very good, but...
That's all right. So in AFL,
Yeah.
let's say in AFL in general, how many players are, in general, the whole thing, how many players are in a squad, but times that by how many teams? How many players is there?
God, how many teams are there? There's 15 teams or something,
Yeah.
say...
Squad of 30?
Squad of 30,
What's that?
750 people.
750 people. And we're talking about, it goes through season to season to season.
Yeah, that's right.
So how many commentators sit in front of the camera? 5, 6,
Yeah,
7?
maybe that, if that.
So imagine those guys, what happens once their career's over? Not many people make it to certain positions
exactly.
in life. Some of them become painters, painting houses,
Yeah.
gardeners. Some are, but what I'm alluding to, same as bodybuilding, you've got to look at it carefully, like where's your position in it?
100% agree with you. 100%.
And obviously, talent gets you somewhere, but you have to have a certain eye of the tiger, a certain hunger to want to pursue into the career that you love so much, which I guess that's what I'm saying with bodybuilding itself. Just because you've had amazing physique and just because you've been on stage, sometimes it's a lonely sport and a lonely world and doesn't pay the dividends you think it will, or where it takes you. And I think that's like sometimes we perceive a lot of bullshit on IG, on Instagram, on the socials, and we've got to be careful of that. But that's how it is, and that's why I believe, and why I love bodybuilding, there's no finish line. We're talking about I know to keep any physique and to nudge myself from the normal 60-year-old, 70-year-old or 80-year-old, the gym will give me that. Like the average 80-year-old who's the average 80-year-old, if I'm at the gym, I'm not the average. Because if the average 80-year-old strength is, let's just say 20 kilos, let's say that's his average strength. But because you're at the gym and you're always compounding it, if my average strength is 30 kilos, I'm 10 kilos stronger than the average 80-year-old, which is going to pay dividends for muscle structure, bone structure. But
and if you look at the bell curve, monstrous difference.
Monstrous
just
difference.
Just 10 kilos.
That's right. So what
Absolutely.
I'm alluding to is if you'll go, and it'll help you with your testosterone. It'll help everything, even women, everybody. So having said that, we're talking about proteins. Proteins are different.
They are very different.
Yeah, your words, mate. I know.
They are.
Tell us more. There's protein after a workout. There's protein before bed. That's the slow digestive casein protein. Proteins in the morning. Body responding accordingly to protein times. Bacon and eggs. Why? They were a stable brekkie. Please.
Absolutely, proteins are different, and honestly, I'm a firm believer that we're omnivorous. We evolved to eat everything, and I think we need animal fats in our diet with the protein, because it's been proven time and time again, you do need animal fats to activate your endocrine system, your hormones. Without it, you just won't have the same response. And plenty of people do those alternatives, but I think if you look at the spread, what they could have got to in comparison to where they are, they could have probably done more. I'm not judging anyone. That's absolutely fine. They can eat whatever they want. But yes, proteins are different. I think you do have the slow and the fast release proteins. And I think if you don't have to be scientific about it, but if you're at least aware when you eat and what, it does make a difference. For example, if I'm eating a cheese or a bit of red meat before bed, I get up in the morning.
Or yogurt.
Or yogurt, exactly. Nuts, slow digesting. I get up in the morning and I'm feeling more energized. I'm happier. I'm not as hungry. And I can keep going longer throughout the day. So, because you have that concentration of amino acids in your blood that stays longer in your system as you sleep. And so your body repairs much more efficiently. And I found that, through practice myself over the years, it does really work. Look, at the end of the day, protein is protein. If your body needs it, it'll absorb it. If it doesn't need it, if it's in excess, it'll filter it out through your kidneys. It's as simple as that. But I think maintaining a good baseline is important, and not just for building muscle, but I think for general health as well. I think in the modern world, a lot of the food we eat is so heavily processed and so many substitutes such as sugar, preservatives, salt, this and that, that you're not actually getting the macronutrients that you need. And so people say, well, have you had a nice dinner? I'm like, well, you filled up. But have you filled up on something that your body actually needs? And not just to grow muscle, but as I said, to actually function properly day to day. So absolutely, it's definitely something people should be aware of.
So tell me, I used to be a person that went to bed very hungry. And I used to think, because I wake up starving, but I'm kind of using the philosophy at the moment, and that's how I'm losing weight, not to lose weight too dramatically and too quickly, not to compensate muscle. Because it's so easy for the body to turn around and say, well, we're going to get rid of some of your muscle too because the fat's not enough, or we don't have enough fat storage, whatever it is. This belief that you shouldn't eat 3 hours before bed. And I'll tell you why. Well, apparently a lot of these bodybuilders that are huge eat and sleep.
Yeah.
And because in rest, it's not that you become fat, it's your body starts to metabolize it all. So what do you think about, and when you told me about eating something before bread, a casein type protein, I felt reassured because I felt, well, that's what I do. I eat my meals all day, like it's chicken, potato. But at night, I feel like just before I go to bed, I just feel I put about maybe 200 grams of yogurt or 100 grams of yogurt, and then I put nuts in it, and I put a few things in there. I put some protein collagen in it, and I also put I can never say it, Facilian husks, some because it's some fiber. And I sit there and I enjoy that, but I know in the back of my mind it's like, I don't think you should be eating before bed. But I'm thinking to myself, no, but that's like growth is happening in bed. I'm lying there, and if my muscle wants to come that little, I've just smashed it at the gym. do I have to keep walking around and staying awake to believe that's when I grow?
No. Well, as you know, you probably recover when you sleep and when you're resting. I think it's a misconception. I think
that's
honestly,
what I'm saying. I think there is a misconception. And I think the misconception comes from Hollywood actors that lose so much fucking weight because you know on the camera you're 10 kilos heavier.
Of course.
So and imagine what they look like in real life. They don't look very muscular. They're very skinny and
That's right. That's right.
Yes, go on.
Look, no, that's fine. And I think I guess it's the misconception. If you start metabolizing, digesting stuff, you won't sleep as well. I think it's the other way around. You actually sleep better because you have all that nutrition and metabolism occurs. Because the thing is, your body, your hypothalamus in the brain regulates all the activities that you don't think about, such as digestion, metabolism, all that stuff. It makes no difference to the body, not really. If you stuff yourself to the point where you can't breathe, then of course you're going to have problems sleeping. But if you just, like you said, if you enjoy a meal before bed, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You'll sleep better, you'll recover better.
Well, I'm actually predominantly eating before bed for growth now.
Yeah.
Besides enjoying a yogurt, I'm actually doing it because I'm thinking I've got 8 hours lying there.
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect time for my body to grow.
And how are you finding? You must have noticed a difference.
I have.
Yeah.
I've actually, I told you I'm 89.75 and I've come down from, like I said, 107. But the diet did everything. Of course, measured. You're not going to sit there and have a tub of ice cream and not know, a tub of yogurt and not know what you exactly. Like I found now, the secret to a lot of losing weight or putting on muscle comes to weighing your food. I was trying to fight it.
That's all it is.
It is, and it's very simple to do it. I know it seems like we're crazy, and anyone that watches us thinks, "Oh my God, you're so," whatever you want to call it, perfectionist. You're crazy, but. Man, it's the safest playing field you can ever play
Absolutely. And it's such a simple equation. People overcomplicate it. It really is calories in versus calories out.
You said that, and we're going to talk about that one too.
Yeah.
But growing 18th of February 2025. No, 24.
Close enough.
Close enough, mate. Grow your arms bigger. Reverse grip curls. Build the brachialis muscle, promoting bigger arms. Not easy, but improves your strength, and you can't go as heavy. Tell me, because I've never been a firm believer of reverse curls.
Absolutely.
So I want bigger arms. I'm here to listen.
Absolutely. So when you supinate and pronate, obviously the bicep is the master muscle that performs the lift physically because you have
it looks it and you feel it.
Exactly
or
right.
You perceive it too.
But you also have your other supporting side muscles, that tuck to in.
I just felt personally that the forearm was
the radialis muscle.
Yeah.
But absolutely. But I think it works in conjunction. You've got your brachii on the side of the bicep and the radialis. But when you twist, you're primarily forcing the brachioradialis to work. And so as that grows, your arm gets thicker. So you're naturally adding more size. And I think it's good to pronate and supinate because then you're moving your biceps and the other supporting muscles essentially through its full range of motion if you want full development. That's all it is. And of course, because they're small, it's a lot harder to lift it that way. So you can't lift as much. But I think if you can include it from time to time, I think it'll do wonders.
Well, can you also calm down saying it's not to go heavy, but when I'm looking at you lifting things, you look like you're fucking lifting heavy.
Well, for me, it's...
I watch you, Chris, and he's using the squatting bar as his bar for curling, which has probably already got 20 kilos on it.
I didn't want to brag, but
and then he's got like these 10 kilo things on there. So, and I'm thinking, look at this bloke. He's saying it's not heavy. It's heavy, buddy.
I should be more considerate, I think.
Don't be considerate. Fuck us over. It's all right.
But look, I guess for me, it's not that heavy. What I'm trying to say is work with the weight that's challenging for you personally.
Of course.
And I think that's why people really need to think about, well, am I optimizing my growth, my development? Because think about the body. Well, obviously there's other supporting muscles. What are they? How do I activate them? Because if you get into that mindset, you will always go the extra mile and you'll have a much more defined and refined physique. You'll have more muscle mass. You'll have more cuts and striations and separation. I think a lot of people fall into the trap is they go to the gym, they think to themselves, okay, I'm going to do a few sets of bicep curls, few sets of machine curls, that's my bicep workout done. Not really. You have to think through. And that goes with every muscle, I think. I think you leave a lot on the table if you don't have that mind-muscle connection and understand why things work the way they work and how can you optimize them.
I think that's the beautiful thing about bodybuilding is we're in and out sometimes. Sometimes we fall into the trap of just doing the motions.
Yeah. And that's okay as well.
It is good.
It's fine as well.
And no, it's good. But the thing is, you know that you think, just the results aren't coming as I thought. And then you realize, one, mind-muscle connection. Two, you're really not fucking pushing.
Yeah.
And three, you're pushing in all the wrong areas. So it's such a fine line once you engage again. So once the gym is a great place because it's, look, why I like the gym and why I love the gym. The great thing is about the gym is you leave your problems, and we'll talk about, you leave your problems at the door. They don't come in with you. They never come in with you. For some reason, yes, you've walked in and your head's down, you need alone time, you've got it in there. But once your head comes up and you've got a little bit of noise, watching people train around you, the distractions around you, you pushing some weight, somehow you get some grace for an hour. I don't know what it is. It's just that place. Also for me, I'll be honest with you, I've trained at Christmas. I mean, the reason I might train at Christmas is that I'm not going to a function. I've got no functions. Or it's a beautiful day to celebrate Christmas. But when I feel possibly if I'm alone at any day or a Sunday or Christmas Day or whatever, and I mean, gyms are open now, but the gym I go to, which we will go today to, is 24/7 manned and open all the time. It's a nice place just to go and escape the world and just have a bit of peace and harmony. And I think that's what's so good about the gym. The gym is...
It really does revitalize you, I think.
It does revitalize you. And you walk out just that little bit better. Your problems are at the door. As soon as you walk out of that door and you jump in the car, you go, oh, God.
Reality hits. But I agree. I think, and it's important to use or find a medium, may not be gym, just for anyone, where you can revitalize. Because I think, especially in the modern world, we switch on 24/7. I think if you don't have that off switch, I think you burn out and you start to, maybe I wouldn't say spin out of control, but perhaps make a bigger deal out of things when there shouldn't be. Because as I said before, there's a solution to everything, I think. Yep. And that, like you said, that segment of your day where you can truly let go.
Yeah, I do. I love it.
I think that reset, as I call it, I think it's important. You don't have to be a professional athlete. I think just for anyone doing that, I think it's paramount to their health, to their mental health. And I think more people need to understand the benefits of it, maybe.
Like I said, there's something about the clanking going on in there and the music they're playing at times and the screens are up and the people beside you. And there's always someone that comes up to you and gives you the bro shoulder pump when you're in there. Like I said, talking about shoulder pumps, the 6th of the 1st, 24. Shoulders.
6 of the first 20. Okay, gotcha.
Not 2024, not 2025. Yeah. Unless I can read the future and I'm reading your post before you've even done them.
Maybe.
Shoulders, fairly simple muscle. And you personally believe you only need 4 different movements to get a really good workout. Now, I don't know. I could debate that. Not because I debate it in a form of, I'd like to know more. Tell me about it and I'll give you my ideas.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, you mechanically look at your shoulders. Yes, it's a very mobile joint, but essentially it does only one thing. It lifts your arms up, right? And any movement that performs essentially allows you to move your arms so that way it will activate the shoulders. And you can only lift your arms up front, to the side, and to the rear. So you got your anterior, posterior, and your medial heads. And the thing, as long as you're activating them, I mean, yes, you have muscles underneath, etc. You have your supporting, other connecting tissue. But if you really want to target, personally, I think what's worked for me is doing just a good heavy military press just to activate the entire shoulder and then just focusing on all the 3 heads and then I'm done.
When you focus on all 3 heads, can I ask, is it how many exercises would you focus on?
Just 4 exercises, I think. I did really focus on them. So whether it's dumbbells, machines.
So you're talking about 4 exercises for each or 4 exercises in combined the whole shoulder?
The whole shoulder. So for example,
so you do a shoulder press?
A military press or shoulder press, maybe 5-6 sets.
Yep.
Then I'll do lateral raises, maybe 5-6 sets. Same with the front raises, rear extensions or raises, and that's pretty much it. And I find personally, because everyone's different, I found that that's really effective for me because if I burn my shoulders out too much, I've noticed in the past, I can't really push as hard later on in the week. For example, if I'm training chest or any other movement that requires my shoulders to support that movement or my arms gets a lot harder. And I find the most effective is just to do those 4. to varying degrees of, you know, the amount of weights that we're using or the rep ranges, sets, whatever, and does the job really, really well personally. But you could be different for you.
No, I trust me when I saw for different movements or workouts. Trust me, it brings joy to me. But I feel, and I'm not going to take away from the pros, the guys that are doing it day in, day out.
Absolutely.
What am I? I'm an amateur. But I found that especially with shoulders, we've got front delts, we've got side delts, and we've got rear delts. And I find how do you get the best out of your side delts? Let's just say that you just do 3 sets of 10 standing flies. I feel like, where's the focus on your side delts? For me, that's me. I'm talking about me. So for me, I've looked at the body all over it now. And this is what I've incorporated the last year. I said, okay, I'm going to break down the body. Look at it. So I don't train, and I haven't done it for a long time. I don't train quads with hammies. Why? Well, my quads, if I go heavy on my quads, I've burnt out for my hammies. So I do my hammies another day. And I think that if I'm focused on 16 sets or 12, so 3 sets of 4, 4 sets of 10, 3 equals 12. Sorry if my mathematics is going a bit everywhere. But what I find is if I just hit quads, and I hit quads, and I hit quads, and I hit quads, and I go home and I rest, and I come the next day and I hit hammies. So I hit hammies, same thing, 3 exercises, 4 sets each, which is 12. I'm allowing that muscle to grow. So with the shoulders, I actually don't do rear delts with my front and sides.
Oh, there you go.
I've separated them. I only do rear delts when I do back, because there's an engaging part on my back.
Absolutely.
I think, well, you must be touching it. So if I'm touching it, let me destroy it today. So then when I rest, my rear delt. So what I'm alluding to is for my front delts and a little bit of my sides, I do, like you said, military press. I'll do a military press. Then for my fronts, I'll do 2 exercises. I'll do front raises, and I'll do a certain incline, but I'm lying on the bench. Flies.
Gotcha.
Flies. That's it. And then I'll do side raises, and I might do reverse cable raises. And that's it. That was my shoulder.
And it works well for you.
Well, I don't know yet. I've just incorporated it. I used to do the whole shoulders, but I do 1, 1, and 1. But I think, no, I want it to pop. So I said, my rear delts, if I'm not hitting my rear delts hard because I've exhausted my side delts and my front delts, I'm exhausted by the end of it. So I'm not really giving. So what I'm saying to you is, instead of, say, I don't know what you do for shoulder raises, like side raises. I mean, mine might be, let's just put down 10 kilos on each arm, where I probably can do 12, but because I'm exhausted from everything else, trying to, and that's what I've realized with hammies. So maybe I'm thinking, so I've really divided the body up.
That's interesting.
So I've decided to look at every part of my body and say, but I want my side delts to pop. But if I'm doing everything else, how can they pop? So how about, all right, I think I can do fronts and sides because they're kind of connected more. But on my rear, I seem to be hitting back, so I'm going to hit rears there. That's my philosophy.
Perfect, and that's fine. And I always say, if it works for you and you've found something that
I don't know yet.
Well, you will soon enough.
I will soon enough. But I have seen I have seen a difference.
Yeah.
Very much a difference. Because what I'm saying is, maybe you do. Do you train bis and tris together?
Yes, and that's where that whole notion comes from. It's that very the way they used to do maybe in the 70s and 80s. If you're training a body part, I like to train all sides of it. For example,
is that because the blood's in that area?
Correct.
Yeah,
exactly right. Get maximum contraction, pump, whatever you want to call it. So I used to train chest and back at the same time. It was incredibly hard. So what I've noticed over the years is the really big body parts I will start to separate out a little bit, because just simply to conserve energy. Because like you said, sometimes you just don't get the same quality.
So don't you think quads is a big body part?
It is.
And hamstrings is a big body part?
It is there, absolutely. But I've got this thing in my head, and I think maybe because it's just worked really well over the years.
Yes, of course.
I like to combine them. I always train my quadriceps really hard in the beginning, or my thighs. and I'll finish off with hamstrings. And I guess
Do you feel like you train hamstrings hard?
absolutely,
Oh,
it
you
actually
do.
makes it harder.
Do you?
I feel like so, yeah.
Even when you do them all together, you still train hammies very hard?
I've separated them.
You separated them now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're training them harder now? Because you've separated them?
I think I'm training quads harder now.
Oh, well, quads harder, yeah. You're
I think
training
so,
hard
yeah.
quads.
Yeah,
Right,
I
okay.
could focus more.
I guess I find it more of a challenge because obviously my quads are tight. I don't have as much strength or as much control as I would if I was doing the hamstrings fresh. So it makes it more challenging. So it's harder to push through. But I know because I've pushed through while the rest of the leg is exhausted, I get a bit more out of it. Maybe it's a psychological thing for me. I don't know. But over the years, I've had good results. I thought to myself, it works well. I might stick with it. And but I'm not going to lie. I have separated muscle groups before just to try things out. And I've noticed I don't get the same effect, for example, with hamstrings unless I've trained quadriceps first. Because maybe, like you said before, the blood's just not in there as it would be after quads. And I just can't feel it the same way. And it's weird. I'm a bit weird like that in terms of some exercises.
Oh, people do it. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
I've had to wrestle myself.
Yeah.
I have to wrestle the narrative. But I found, well, if the shoulder is 1, 2, 3 parts, which one gets the priority?
Yeah.
And by the end of it, am I exhausted? Like so now I'm fresh when I do redelts because I want to stay fresh, and that gives me 2 kilos more to lift because I'm fresh. So I kind of look at more the freshness of my body.
And that's great. And I think, like I said, I think that's awesome. I think it works is for you. Maybe later on I'll change it up to that, break it up more. It's just, I guess I'm trying to be really efficient as well with my time. I'm trying to get as much done as I can in every session too.
Of course.
So maybe that's from that mindset as well. The more I do in a single session, the better it is. Like with legs, I'll do both things: arms, chest, back. I'm also like to mix. For example, I'll train chest and biceps, and then I'll add calves as well.
Yeah, of course.
Something like that. Just trying to maximize it. So I guess I'm thinking about efficiency as well when I do it. Maybe that's why.
Well, I've like I said, I'm ever trying to evolve and listening. I listen because, like I said, Jay Cutler said, do calves first as soon as you walk in, and I do, and I have seen my calves grow.
100%.
And I've also known
Yeah.
on is it the eccentric? What is it called when you hold it down and you're stretching it out? What's that movement called?
Eccentric, yeah.
Eccentric. He says to hold it longer there, and I haven't. I've seen growth. But so I do calves, quads, and biceps. That's
There
it.
you go.
I do calves, quads, bicep, and I give bicep a smashing time because I don't want the chest touching it. I don't want the back touching it. I don't want anything touching my biceps. So when I do calves and quads, I think, well, that's been all down there. Now it's time to give these biceps a massive hit. I just feel it's about energy at the moment.
Yeah.
And when again, not a pro, I feel maybe our quads do grow amazingly because we've put them as a priority and not the hamstring. And that's why the hamstring doesn't grow like the size of the quad, because we've said that's the second exercise, and then the hamstring and the calves are the third exercise, where now I try to make everything the first exercise.
You know what, you really got me thinking just then. Maybe that is a smart way to approach it. Maybe I'll start doing that from now on, because like you said, if we can really concentrate.
Like imagine it's just hammies and you're doing
20 sets or something.
4 sets of 4, that's 16.
Yeah, 4 sets of 4, 16. Yeah.
Perfect. But imagine that. Imagine RDLs, then lying hamstring curls, and then seated curls, and then finishing off with something, I don't know. But what I mean is imagine and then going home and eating and letting them grow.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
that's what I'm thinking, where you've gone in with the objective that you want big legs, but we seem to say the objective is the quads, which is similar to a lot of things. I want big shoulders, but I've realized I've lacked on my rear delts because I don't have a thickness that I want.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going, no, I want to fucking bring those rear delts up. So now, no, you're not. You're going to have your own time. And what will I do with? I'll do it with back, because I'm into back, and we're pushing in there. We've got the blood in there, so rear delts, it comes. So anyway, that's my way of thinking.
I think that's actually pretty smart. I think you really got me thinking I may start including that, because again, if we get even 1% improvement,
That's what I'm looking at.
I think that's what is going to make the difference. So,
Well, because we're always giving the predominant body part its stage, but like I said to you, predominantly you are squatting first before you're doing hammies.
That's
I'm
true.
presuming
usually.
usually,
Yeah.
and that's why you've burnt out before you're doing hammies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's
why
true.
not come in fresh and fucking hit those hammies? And that's how I've done it. And I have seen great legs built on that. I have seen it, and I'm a firm believer that like all this push and pull stuff that people talk about, the old philosophies. I'll tell you what else I've introduced. I've introduced training body parts twice a week now. So I actually do biceps twice in the week. Why? Not always. Sorry, I have my rest day on the 4th day. So 1, 2, 3, 4th. So, but some weeks, quads get trained once, and in some weeks they get trained twice. That was a very old school philosophy back when I trained. And look at the bodies back then. The what do you call it? The Arnold Schwarzeneggers.
Phenomenal.
I can't get the names right now. Besides
Serge Nubret.
Franco Colombo,
Boyko. Amazing legs.
But what I mean is all those bodies, mate, you don't understand. They didn't have days off either. They were 7 days straight, these guys.
And I think it proves the fact that...
And think about the equipment they had. Not what we have today.
No, of course not. And I think that proves... The proof is in the pudding, as they say, and it's true. I think, honestly, the more you put in, the more you get out. I think the more you do...
stimulation is
it
that...
really is true.
So, in other words, if I trained quads on Monday, let's just say that, and I take Thursday off, guess what I'm training on Friday? Quads. Yeah. But the week after, I'll probably only do quads once because it doesn't overlap into twice. So, in a whole month... There'll be a week that quads only gets hits once in the week. But during that time, I'm hitting them twice. So the more stimulation... So what does it mean when you do more stimulation? More food. I know everyone's trying to go the Dorian Yates style. Dorian Yates trained, 3 days a week? And he smashed them up and he did what he did. I get it. But when I look at the majority of bodybuilders and what's going on, like I said, I mean... I just... The classic physique to me is always going
the epitome.
to... The epitome.
Absolutely.
And those boys, they were... Mate, they spent 3 hours in the gym.
And look at the results. Even to this day, no one can match Schwarzenegger's chest or biceps.
No.
They can't. Even, it's been 50 years, they still can't.
And most people are trying to say, don't do a flat barbell bench press.
I think it's
but
crazy.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing, but that's all he had. They didn't have, and in an incline, maybe.
And look what he built.
Look what he built. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's incredible what they tell you what not to do, but they...
It's funny, though. I knew...
It's stimulation and food and
That's
and
all.
rest.
It's simple.
It's very simple.
And it's funny. I had a feeling you were going to bring up Dorian Yates and his form of training. I just had a gut feeling, and I think you're right. He worked really efficiently, and he won those 6 Olympias. But then I know I've got no place to comment, but if he went down the route that Schwarzenegger did and everyone else, imagine maybe how much more he could have done. How much further, and he maybe wouldn't have been as injured.
Yes.
Maybe he would have won another 4 Olympias with that.
A lot of people, and even Jay Cutler says the reason he doesn't have injuries is he really didn't go that heavy.
He was a volume guy.
And some people smash it up hard and you are fucked. Joints are fucked. So just remember, it's bodybuilding, not weightlifting. And I think we forget that. And like I said, I just trying to remember these bodies that didn't have a lot but created a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot and we're pulling back. And I think, but nah, man, I'm at the moment, the firm believer is what I'm doing right now, and I haven't done it for a while at the moment, is separating the whole body, giving everything its glory and trying to hit it twice a week, but 6 meals a day.
Yeah.
Like really everything is geared up, but now I'm thinking, I want that to pop more than it did. So that's me. But
you kind of make me laugh when you say Jay Cutler never went that heavy. There's plenty of videos of him squatting 4 plates for like 25 reps. It cracks me up every time I hear him say that.
Well, but the thing is,
for him it's not heavy.
But maybe it wasn't heavy.
Yeah.
But maybe it wasn't heavy. And if you get to 25 sets on that, it wasn't that heavy, to be honest. For him,
yeah, I agree. But it's just funny in comparison to the average person when you hear that. It's
just like you when you do your reverse curls and you tell us it's not heavy. And I look at the bars, mate, and I was thinking,
you're going to make me blush.
Well, just remember the little guy that's watching. All right, just say, and for you little guys, Steve, the second of the first 24.
Second of the first 24. Yep. Second of month.
The burger. Firstly, it looks like a chicken burger.
It was.
And fries with a side bicep flex. Nothing like a big refeed, ignoring your diet and enjoying life. Contrary to the belief There is no concrete evidence which suggests weight loss. If anything, this is a mental and an emotional relief from having to stick to a strict regime. I agree. Sometimes people talk about cheat meals being, it helps you with your diet, but to be honest, it more helps you mentally and emotionally, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's half the battle. Being able to persevere mentally. And by the way, that photo is a little bit old. It's probably from November last year. But I saw it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to post it.
But it was, yeah. I didn't think. I didn't really look at it as a dated. It was a good flex. But what I'm alluding to, you are with the burger and the fries, though.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And I think a lot of people are probably going to think, what are you doing? But I think, you know what? Having that relief, that levity, and just being a bit more normal. I think, like I said before, I think that mental relief. I think there's not enough of it going around. And I think if you're always on, always switched on, it's just can't be healthy. Well,
I know myself, at the moment, I told you I'm on a strict diet regime, but I do enjoy, and I'll do it all the time. I do enjoy my Sunday night. If I go to a pizza joint with my son, just to be with my son.
I love pizza.
Fuck the fucking diet.
Enjoy yourself.
But I do realise, instead of buying a family pizza, maybe I'll get a medium one because I can keep the calories down, but still enjoy. Or get myself a good carbonara. Yeah. Because I'm with my son.
Enjoy it. And there's more to life than lifting.
And have a quinoto with him. You know, like I'm talking about, like, this is what I'm saying. That moment is like, what the fuck? It's like...
Yeah.
Like, you can measure it still well. You don't have to get a family-sized pizza, eat it on your own. Like, you can turn it, because that's what we do as husbands. We eat our wife's food, and when we have kids, we eat everyone's food. And I wrote a blog about I wrote a blog about about being a garbage bin, because when you first get married,
fueling the furnace, as my mom used to call it.
Well, let me tell you something. When you sit with your girlfriend at the time, when you get a girlfriend and your wife, they will order a meal. And it'll look amazing. You go like, oh, there, that steak dine looks great, babe. She goes, what did you get? And you go, oh, I got steak and mushroom. And you sit there, and she leaves this beautiful piece of steak to the side, and you go, what are you doing with that? Give me the plate. And then you sit and eat her food, right?
I'm a finisher myself.
Yeah, well, I'm a finisher too, so I finish her. But let me tell you, women, they have two guts. Because even when you say, how are you feeling? She goes, oh, I'm very full. And then the girl comes around and goes, would you like dessert? She goes, wouldn't mind some dessert.
Yes.
They always have room for dessert. I don't know why. They can't eat your steak, or they can't finish the pizza with you, but boy, they can eat a dessert. But then it's the kids. So you sit there and go, what do you want? The kid goes, I want a margarita. You go, all right, one margarita for the kids. And you go to your wife, what do you want? She goes, oh, I might get the pizza with the prawns. Yeah, she wants to be a big gourmet. And you go, oh, I'm going to get meat lovers.
Of course you do.
So you sit there, you eat your meat lovers, and she goes, fuck, there's 2 pieces left of this prawn thing. I paid for it. I don't want it to be in the bit you eat. And then you go, fuck, there's half of the margarita there. You eat it. And before you know it, you're the fat slob husband, dad.
But I have a question for you. Did you feel good in the moment?
I did.
Well, that's important.
No. I'll tell you what I felt. I'm not wasting my money here. I paid for this. And this is where people get it wrong, because whether it goes down your gut or in the rubbish bin, it's still unnecessary for you to have it, in a sense.
That is true.
So, in other words, yes, I did enjoy it, but it was more along the line of, I paid a lot of money for these pizzas. They've got to go somewhere, and I'd eat it. And I did notice initial stages that I think most men don't realise that, having kids, you can put on some weight. Imagine you buy your kid an ice cream, even though they love ice cream, and you're licking your ice cream, and they go, oh, Dad, I don't want any more. And you go, all right. So you're licking both ice cream.
I'm exactly the same with my daughter. She's 2 years old. She's always leaving stuff behind. I'm like, I'm not going to waste this. Let me finish it for her. Every time. I'm exactly the same.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful,
you pack
Phil.
on the kilos
Be
quickly.
careful, Phil. Be careful, Phil. Be careful of those kids, all right? End of November. Actually, the 30th of December that you did this, 2023. So you said body composition, losing weight. Oh, here we go. Diets. Sorry, let me say it again. Body composition, losing weight. Diets out there, quick fix pills, really is calories in, calories out. Your macronutrients content ratio between fats, proteins, and carbs. Technically, you can lose weight just by eating cake if you are in a calorie deficit, but you don't recommend that. Why? Possibly diabetes. So let's break the cake myth that everyone believes you can have cake, donuts, chocolate, as long as you stay in a deficit. But then again,
Is it the healthiest way to do it? No,
well, I want to know how much muscle composition have you built from that?
probably none.
And how much fuel have you had to go to the gym and use to build on muscle quality?
You know what?
Or anything, or be and you said like a diabetic. I mean,
Potentially, yeah.
they talk about diet like being, I believe it's calories in, calories out, but it's not just that.
No, of course. I think there's a massive genetic element as well, how you respond to things, how you metabolize. Diabetes, they're now saying more and more, is genetically based. I just think that a diet, if you're prone to certain things, it'll
So it's
push you towards
cholesterol. So it's cholesterol.
Exactly right. It'll just push you towards that. So I think the best way to mitigate is to just be mindful and realize, this may one day reduce your quality of life. That's all. I've got no issues. I love dessert and sugars and cakes and all that. And yeah, absolutely, you can lose weight. Technically, eating whatever you want, as long as you're in a deficit, is the best way to do it. No, you probably won't receive the right nutrients. You probably won't look that good, but you'll still lose weight. Absolutely, it's really that simple.
Oh, it is. No, it's completely that simple. I just think in a bodybuilding world, I don't think it's the optimum diet.
Of course not.
I think if you're just looking to lose weight,
Go for it.
And it's not about muscle quality and it's not about any quality really. It's just about getting down from a size 16 to a size 10.
So you're becoming a smaller version of yourself.
Yeah, you become a
essentially.
smaller version. You can eat as much. Have a cake. But if you're thinking you want to go and join triathlons and go to the gym and pump iron, and you think the cake's going to help you, well, just stick to not coming to the gym and just eat the cake.
It'll give you an initial good energy boost, the sugar.
Yeah,
but then
that's it.
afterwards, it's
There's
not
no
really
building
much.
phase. But anyway,
No,
that's another.
That's true.
Yeah, no, it's true. Body weight exercises are incredibly beneficial. Chin-ups, pull-ups, old school, lifting complete body weight, body weight squats, doing enough reps and sets. It helps. Excuse me. It helps your stable weight muscles. Tell me about that. Tell me about.
Absolutely. I think any compound.
And how many chin-ups can you do?
My best ever, I was once weighing 97 kilos. I strapped a 20 kilo plate. What was it I did?
Oh, so you had to do that as well, didn't you?
And I did like 23, 24 reps. I could do it.
How many?
23, 24 reps.
Wow.
With a plate, I was just under 100 kilos, but I've never done that much since. So I can probably, if I really focus right now, I could probably get 15 to 20 maybe with body weight. If I really, really focus. But I'm getting a little bit of tennis elbow, so that pulling motion is a bit harder at the moment. Once it recovers, I'll try again. But absolutely, going back to the compound movements such as pull-ups, I think absolutely, because to physically lift your body, it's not just your arms or your back. You have to use a lot of other stabilizer muscles and everything else to perform the movement. And it's the same with any compound moves, your squats, using your core, your legs, your butt, everything, your back. And I think, there's a lot of benefit to them. I think not just as a warm-up exercise or something that you occasionally do, but as part of your routine from time to time. I think it really, for example, when you're bench pressing, if you can only lift in your weight, do some push-ups just to go the extra mile, because you're still working that region.
I have to say, I don't do chin-ups. Not because. Do you do chin-ups?
Nah.
Can you do any? How many can you do?
Body weight?
Yeah.
I could probably do 2, 3.
I'm probably the same.
And that's okay.
But what I find is it's the fact that we don't do them. That's why we only do 1 or 2, because our form is crap, and we also stress under it because it is
hard exercise.
It's a hard exercise.
Absolutely.
But I have to say, back in the day, chin-ups was mandatory for growing back work.
Oh, absolutely. And look at their backs.
And I had the biggest back in my 20s and 30s, the biggest, and I don't have the biggest back now. And it was through chin-ups. I have to say it.
And you can also take the further. Look at all the professional athletes in their sports. For example, let's look at sprint cyclists. Same sort of thought process. I forgot his name. There's this German sprint cyclist. He's got IFBB Pro quality legs. They're that big and that ripped. Why? He sprint cycles for hours every day, every single day. So he's forcing himself to essentially not lift weights, but use what he's got and work it for hours. So same thing can be applied here. Look at gymnasts. Why do they have such amazing arms?
Our bodies, of course.
Because they do pull-ups, body weighted pull-ups, lots and lots for hours a day, every single day. And so you have to start applying, I personally think, that sort of thinking. Look at who's got what and why they're so good at it, and think, why is that the case? And that's what I started doing. I look at gymnasts, I'm like, amazing upper bodies. They do a lot of pull-ups. look at the 70s bodybuilders, amazing upper bodies, a lot of chin-ups. I'm like, you know what? They must know something. It must work. And I apply that to everything. And so that's why, for example, on a leg day, if I'll finish my training, I'll do some body weight squats. 2-3 sets of 20, 30 reps.
Nice.
It kills you. But you know what? It makes a difference.
It does.
You have better cut legs, more muscle density. You improve your endurance, so you can perform and train harder the next time you're there.
Yes.
I think it all plays a part. I think nowadays the problem, personally, I think, people are trying to always find a shortcut, do things faster.
I think so.
Faster isn't always necessarily better, because you still have to come back and keep doing it to get to the same level as if you perform more quality work to begin with. I guess you get better results maybe faster. I don't know.
Stop scrolling. Do you want to score yourself $250 worth of Papa Macros meals? Now's your chance. Go to threeog.shop or
Go to Papa Macros and use the code MuscleTalks at checkout.
go get it now.
Well, I like I said to you, fundamentally when I used to train, chin-ups was a stable exercise that we all did. Even push-ups was a stable exercise we did. There was a lot of stuff that, I mean, even seated tricep dips, with...
I still do them.
I don't, but I had big arms when I did them. I'm just saying, it's amazing that dips between two benches, you bring two benches together and you put that 20 kilos on your legs and you go down low.
People don't realize it takes a lot of concentration, a lot of work and energy to either pull up your body weight or push up your body weight.
Yes,
I mean, say you weigh 80, 100 kilos, it's a lot of weight to push or pull.
Mate, it's huge. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone realizes it, especially in my case right now. If I wanted to do chin-ups, well, guess what? That's 89 kilos that I'm working with, which is a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight. You try strapping that, you try dragging that weight across the room.
Or when you're doing lat pull down, same thing. Try strap on 90 kilos and pull it down for 20 reps. It's incredibly hard.
It is.
Same thing.
So tell me about, because you're an engineer.
I am, yes.
Yeah, we're going to go into a few engineer bits. Just making sure. Yeah, science. We're going into science.
All right.
Exosuits
Yes.
were once nothing more than a science fiction, but with further advancement in computers and programming and AI, and the material they use, now it's a reality. These will become mainstream, eventually affordable. Tell me about these exosuits.
Oh, absolutely. They're already starting to come online. So exosuits, to me, is you're literally wearing an exoskeleton that allows you to perform everyday tasks.
Like?
Whether it's recreational for work. For example, if you're working on a mine site. There's a truck that comes up and they lift all the heavy stuff, multi-ton rocks and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's scattered around, say in a few hundred kilos range, 50, 100 kilos. For the average person, they're not going to be able to pick that up and transfer it. So you put on an exosuit and you move the smaller stuff faster. So you don't have to utilize larger machines to come back and do it. It improves efficiency. May help paraplegics, quadriplegics walk and perform, because once we build AI into it, it'll be able to sense everything. It'll be able to move the limbs for you. Just from a safety perspective, military applications, I think it's going to be the future, because again, you're going to be able to last much longer. You have your servo mechanisms based with your computers. They're going to be able to control everything, all your appendages, and relieve a lot of the stress, so you won't get as tired as fast. So some militaries are already experimenting with them. I mean, they're big and bulky, but it's coming 100%. And I think, was it Dubai or United Arab Emirates? Can't remember. Or was it the same place? They're now going to be doing Ironman races. So they've developed Ironman suits. You may have seen videos of them. You strap on one little jet engines.
No way.
You can look it up. And they're going to do races where you fly around like Ironman from now on. So the technology is there, and I think it's going to be very beneficial.
Oh my God. I think I've seen some of that. Some people know how to really fly with those suits. I don't know how they do it, but...
And it's 100% because... And it's going to help with a lot of dangerous work as well. Like I said, like mining, for example, working underwater, maybe. The applications are mind-blowing, I think. And if you can relieve a lot of the stress from
exosuit to go wash high-rise windows outside.
100%. And if you can grab onto windows...
You fly up there and they got suction cups on it. You clean it, go to the... Can do anything.
Absolutely. And with AI coming on board now, with ease of control, and again, I think the problem with people and the human body is you get fatigued very quickly. And if they can relieve that fatigue and that stress, you can go on significantly longer. How much more efficient will you be? As well.
No, I agree. So tell me, I mean, I've got one more science thing.
Go for
Let's
it.
go. Oh, because I know you like it. But tell me about AI and how do you see AI? I mean, I'll tell you firstly as a layman terms of mine, because we've spoken about it with Chris about AI. So AI, like, is it going to become Skynet? Are we going to come to the point where, I guess, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm assuming AI takes a lot of information from all of us, compacts it down and says, great, we've got solutions. We've got solutions because I've got 8 billion brains in the world. There's 8 billion people in the world, apparently. And not so much babies, but like whatever brains. And I've compiled it. And because I send my girlfriend poems, at the beginning she goes, I didn't know you could write poems, but no, I use AI. And I even could put her name in there. I write a good night poem for Kiara, and they'll say, and Kiara, good night. And so AI will, make it personal. And she's worked that out now, and she's answering me in AI. So having said that, how do you feel? And now we're just talking AI.
Well, yeah, for my first opinion is it's an emerging $10, $20 trillion industry.
Yes.
Because AI is going to be part of everything. I don't think, look, I can't say it won't happen. I don't think we're going to have a Skynet scenario. I think we're going to have a mixture of good and bad. I think over time, because it's so much more efficient than us, it'll just absorb us. We'll become part of it. It'll be a symbiotic existence. It already is partially, if you think about it. You already have all your technology.
Tell me what symbiotic means.
So it'll depend on you, you'll depend on it.
Okay.
Essentially, all your biological functions, it'll help regulate. It'll help make you the best, fastest possible decisions in the moment for you. Because it'll go through the trillions of permutations instantly and tell you, all right, do this, because this is the best way to do it. It'll help with scientific medical discoveries instantly. There was actually an article not long ago, and they were saying how they put in all this information, and they had come up with already like 50 different molecules that could be potential cures for some disease or something instantly. So I think it'll just become an integral part of who we are. Will replace certain jobs, absolutely, automation. But I think it'll also create a lot of new jobs.
But what new jobs will it create?
AI maintenance. So that's going to be a huge thing. I think.
Hey mate, I just brought in my AI. When can I pick her up? Yeah mate, I just need to spend a bit more
That'll
time.
be part of that.
Can I book in my AI for a service, please? Yeah mate, come on.
I think eventually it will.
Just park it outside.
Far in the future, I think it will eventually become sentient, and I think it will be able to make its own decisions based on its own experience. I don't think it'll see us as a threat. I think it'll just see us as part of the background. We're the background.
But can it? Oh, that's what I'm saying is, but the thing is, I guess what I'm alluding to is, can it do forward thinking in the future?
100%.
So, what happens if it starts going, he's a threat, she's a threat, take her out?
I think there's a fine difference with us humans. I think we have one thing that no one else around has, and it's called intuition. And using intuition with abstract thinking to come up with a solution that may not be logical at all, or may not have any basis for it to exist, but yet we're able to come up with that solution. And in coming up with that solution, we've created a legitimate solution that works. AI can do that. It doesn't have intuition. Or is a very powerful number crunching system until it becomes sentient like we are. Then it'll develop its own intuition. But I don't think it has a reason to destroy us because we helped build it. Yes, it's a development of us. I guess you could call it a further evolution of us.
But we help. I was going to say we help build the nuclear bomb, and that destroys us. But that's people destroying people.
Exactly. Look, and I think if it gets sentient, it'll be the same. Well, what's the point of having us around if it can do everything itself? But I think it's like with us. What's the point of having dolphins around? We don't really need them. They're there. They don't bother us. We don't bother them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think eventually...
Well, we can't predict the future either. I was listening to Dr. Phil and Dr. Jordan Peterson just now on a podcast, and they said that's one thing humans can't do is predict the future.
No, you can't. You can make a best guess estimate based on previous experience.
That's right. But you can't predict the future.
Look, I don't think AI can predict the future. I think it'll be able to do best possible outcomes with the information that it has.
I think so, yes.
Which will take a lot of stress off us because we'll have that safety net. But if it ever becomes sentient and can think for itself, I don't see it as seeing us as a threat. I think it'll just absorb us. And I think that's why in the future, if we ever encounter aliens, I don't think they'll be biological like us. We'll encounter their machines. Because if
Say that again, sorry?
so, I think in the future, if we encounter aliens, I don't think we'll encounter biological or biologically based organisms such as us. What we'll encounter is their machines, their form of AI, because they're not going to risk their life. They're going to send their AI to explore the universe, whether it's going to be mechanical or biologically based AI. That's what we'll encounter.
I suppose if an AI piece of equipment can travel light years, I mean, we can send it to go travel for 100 X amount of light years.
Why would you send yourself?
That's right, because you're not going to survive. And
Exactly.
you can't survive. So I guess you can send a rocket ship out there and send it at the speed of whatever you can send it in to go and do what it needs to do, and the data will come back in someone else's lifetime, I guess, and then we'll find out a little bit more. It's quite incredible when you put that. Since we're talking about space.
Yes, I do like space.
I noticed that.
Well, a little bit.
Get ready, Chris. You're going to be fascinated. Chris loves to get fascinated. By the way, the protein powder, it's a different colour. Have you changed it somewhat?
No.
It looks better. Don't you think so? It does look better.
And it packs more of a punch, doesn't it? 30 grams per serve. I like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's kind of got this darker thing. Let me see if we fixed out. We had a little bit of a typo problem. Oh, Chris, we did fix it. Good on you, Chris. Fucking keep your job. He nearly lost his job this morning.
Wow. He persevered and came through. That's good. I like
Chris,
that.
Yeah, Chris.
Because I have a few. I'm fair,
Chris,
I have a few.
Chris is losing his job every day. Chris is nearly losing his job. His new job. He gets a new job every day.
Isn't that what the modern world is about?
Well, it's, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily muscle talk's problem, but anyway, it's another story. This photograph, this is the entire zoomed out image of the black hole, and everything it's consuming. This tiny black speck is the image. In this image is, listen to this, 6.5 billion, Chris, times the size of our sun, the black hole. And this thing is huge. And what you said is, being a physicist and an engineer means that I don't talk much about things other than fitness on here. This is something which I'm going to change, or you're going to change. But the thing is, you're saying that this is massive and has an infinite gravitational pull.
That's right.
And it's very hard to imagine. Just don't go within the event horizon, or physically won't be able to get out of its gravitational pull. So tell me, what the fuck is this black hole, and what's inside it?
Okay, so basically, well, no one really knows
6.5 billion times of the sun. So this thing, it's up there.
So it's got the mass of 6.5 billion suns.
Yeah.
It may only be the size of the Earth, but it's got the mass of 6 billion.
What does the mass mean?
So how much stuff is inside of it? So you have two things. You have weight and you have mass. So mass is the stuff that makes
So
up.
it could be the size of the Earth, but inside.
But it has the weight of 6.5 billion of our suns.
How did we work that one out? That's one. And is this like Santa's bag? It's just too full?
Yeah, you could say that. So basically, I guess, everyone imagines space as like a flat plane, right? Let's say the surface of the table is a flat plane, that's space. And any object in it exerts its own gravitational pull, and that's simply due to the fact that it has mass. Anything with mass will exert its own gravitational field. A black hole is so massive that its gravitational pull becomes infinite. It's hard to imagine, but it literally is infinite. So anything comes close enough, it'll be sucked in, no matter how powerful or how big it is. Everything, nothing escapes.
Is the black hole just sitting there, and anything that goes past is like a vacuum cleaner? Gets
Correct,
sucked
instantly.
in? So it just sits there, but anything goes past it. Yeah,
It sits there, or it can travel through space as well.
Wow.
So it's a deformation of the space plane. Basically, as it moves, it's got an infinite deformation. Mm-hmm. And so that's got infinite gravity in it. And so usually it's a collapsed star that collapses into a dwarf star under its own gravity, keeps crushing itself.
Imploding.
It keeps imploding until it shrinks.
So there's nothing in it except for crushed. It's crushed. There's nothing in it.
It's got infinite mass in it, essentially. Whatever's in it, no one knows. Okay. And what they've worked out is it's got a specific distance from it. If you stay over that distance, you can escape its pull. Once you go over that horizon, you can't see it visually. You can only calculate it when you're there. the gravitational pull becomes infinite, so you physically can't escape it. So if you cross that line, that's it. You can't survive. You can't, because physically it'll just pull you in. There's no physical way of escaping it.
And where does this sit in our solar system?
It's not in our solar system. It's somewhere in our galaxy. And they've discovered heaps of them.
In our galaxy.
There's heaps of them out there. I wouldn't want to sit in our solar system because we'd be dead pretty quick.
So obviously when you say galaxies, we're talking about different stars, different
That's
positions.
right. Yeah.
So tell me something. Is it true? The light we see from a star or a galaxy, maybe you call it, is shined a million light years ago and got to us? Is it the million?
That's right. So what you're seeing is actually into the past. So light.
Did you know that?
So light travels
Anything you don't know?
300,000 kilometers per second. So if something, say, 1 billion light years away, it means that it has taken light at that speed 1 billion years to travel from point A to point P. So what we're seeing is an old image.
Is it billion or million?
Say billion.
Yep.
Doesn't
But
really
what is the closest star galaxy to us?
The closest star is called Proxima Centauri. It's about 3.5 light years away. So what that means is it takes a beam of light 3.5 years to reach us.
3.5 years to reach us.
So what you're seeing is an old image
not
of it.
bad.
But you're seeing an old image, so it may not even be there anymore. But you're seeing its image that's traveled, that's left that place 3.5, say, years ago.
Space, it does blow my mind.
It does. It's very quirky, but it's really interesting, and it really, I guess, puts perspective onto how small and insignificant we are.
But what do you? There's also this philosophy, besides flat Earth. We won't go there. Well, anyway, what do you think of this flat Earth thing they're talking about?
Oh, I think people are they're following a trend.
Okay, so tell me something. Do you think before? So do you believe that a meteor hit the Earth and it wiped out our dinosaurs? Is this...
I think there's enough geological record to overwhelmingly support that theory, I think.
So do you think we were an advanced technology before the Earth became dormant again? And then we had to come back?
There is a lot of that. There's even actually a seriously contending theory about how we're actually originally from Mars and something happened there. And whatever civilization, whoever were there, a lot of our DNA got transported to Earth because we were the nearest planet that was similar to Mars. And in fact, Mars used to be like Earth. And so we thrived here again. I don't know how true it is. If you look at all these classical theories, I think they say that just billions of years of evolution, I think. Eventually, we are the result. So,
well, I'm just saying it was the civilization that advanced that could build pyramids to that kind of mathematical...
look, anything's possible.
And the weight structure that we don't think we have the equipment to be able to build a pyramid right now.
Look, I think we do have the technology to do even more so. I think we're a lot lazier, and I think we just don't have the incentive anymore. Back then, people didn't care. They had a vision, they chased it. So, and people say, how did you move those stones to build a pyramid? Well, actually, it's not that complicated. They use leverages. So they use rolling pins, leverages, and if you know a bit about mechanics, you can balance things, you can shift them. So even a 4-ton sandstone can be moved and shifted. So it took a long time, but they got through it, potentially.
So life has become like Kanye West. If you think we can build the pyramids, I guess you'll never know. Is that, yeah? That's
Kanye. Right.
Yeah. Some of the suggested large topics. All right. How did you get started in bodybuilding and your love affair with training?
Oh, this goes back to when I was a kid. I saw the Terminator with my dad. The first one, when Arnold arrives in it.
I feel like I know so much about you already, but God, let's go into it, yeah.
And I'm watching him in that when he's nude in that first scene. I saw him like, whoa, he looks amazing.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 1984, the original. I'm like, I want to look like that. And obviously my dad's like, yeah, okay, focus on the movie. And that stuck with me. I don't know why. It really stuck with me. And I think I was always even strong, even as a small child. I could do like push-ups when I was 6 or 7 and move a chair. And I've always loved it. But then for some reason, my parents were very much against heavy weight training. They say, oh, it's bad for you. It'll stunt your growth. You would have heard all these things before.
Of course.
And so I'm like, yeah. And maybe because of that power, I was a fast runner. And so I continued lifting a bit of weights in high school, nothing serious. But then got to university. I was a sprinter and we had this crazy Polish coach. I forgot his last name. Anyway, so he kept pushing us. I had my hamstring tear. And I was already lifting weights. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of this. Am I going to become an Olympic quality sprinter? No. I was fast.
You're fast, yeah. I think your speed was 10 point something.
10.98, so just under, a smidge under 11 seconds, I could do 100 meters.
I did sprinting at the age of 30. I joined a sprint,
Yep.
a group. He's well known at the moment, Roger Fabry.
That now sounds incredibly familiar.
Yeah, he does. He's a sprint coach, right? And mate, he initially was doing a complimentary. I didn't have, I was just sprinting with him. He just happy people to turn up and sprint with him. But now he's very well known and does a lot of work in the sprinting. He used to say to me, "You can eat anything you want when you're a sprinter." He goes, "You don't even need to be on a diet." Meaning, he's saying, "Go and enjoy KFC, go enjoy McDonald's, go," because with sprinting, he goes, we destroy calories, we destroy fats, and he was right. We used to, but he would make us do like a 300 meter sprint, then walk 200 meters, just walk, and finish off with another 100 meters. But he'd say, "Take your time with the walk, don't push yourself." It was incredible.
I used to do the same thing.
And the physique was incredible.
Because you do it for hours, you'd burn so many calories, it didn't really matter. I was the same. I could eat anything whenever I wanted to, and I still looked great.
Yeah. He was, and when it used to rain, and I go, "Oh, are we sprinting?" He goes, "Are we ballerinas?" Yeah. I go, "I guess we're sprinting. I guess." So we'd sprint in the rain. So you training, got into it,
and so I had the injury, and I started training more, and I started to get strong fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. And as I started to get strong, I started to put on a lot of muscle. I'm like, "Oh, that's right. I used to love this. I used to love watching this. I'm going to keep going. And I used to be told, this is a road to nowhere by some family members. It's a road to nowhere. You're wasting your time." I'm like, "I don't care. I'm really enjoying this."
That's how they know all that, don't they?
Exactly right. And I used to tell myself, I'm just going to keep going. Make this my lifestyle. And I got good. And I got really good. I put on a lot of mass. And then I stepped on stage, when was this, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
And I didn't know a lot. Well, I knew about dieting, but not as much because I haven't had as much experience. So I wasn't as lean as I usually am, pretty overweight. I came 6th or 7th or something.
Okay.
But I enjoyed that. And so I kept coming back leaner and leaner every year. And then I'm like, hang on a second, start winning stuff. I'm like, I'm really going to push now. And so from about 2014 to 2017, I really started pushing it absolutely hard with the diet and the training, and one more. And then there was an international contest in New Zealand in 2017. I'm going to enter it, and they were giving away pro cards. And I won that, and I was shocked. And funny enough, it was a really good prep.
Was that where you were 4% body fat and 80?
I was about 5%. I've been leaner before. I was 89.
You have. I've got the question. You were 4%, and I think you were because you're 6'2". Apparently.
That's right.
And you were weighing in at, was it 86 or 80?
No.
89.
I was about 80, just be under 90, 89 something. I can't remember.
Yeah, 0.75 or something. I don't know. I've got it written here.
But it was. I was very, very lean, and I dehydrated myself the night before.
Actually, no, mate. You were 86.4.
No, that was a few years before.
Oh, okay.
That was a few years before. So
4% body fat too.
So at the 17 one, I looked better. I wasn't as extremely lean. I was still very, very lean.
Yeah, I think we can go too far.
But I looked much better. I think maybe that's what I won. But that time, I thought I was actually going to die because I dehydrated myself.
That happened to Matthew, one of the guys on our podcast recently, and he did WBFF last year. And he couldn't finish the comp. They were going to call the ambulance on him, so they had to monitor him over the phone.
Came close to me. Same thing happened. I was in a hotel by myself, and
he was in a hotel by himself too.
I had my chocolate bar and my drink next to me. I'm like, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to put on my sweats and everything, get under the covers. But the thing is, I'm already very lean. Don't have much water weight under the skin, and I haven't drunk for 24 hours. Well, I haven't not drunk, but I had minimal fluid intake, and I'm starting to fall asleep. All of a sudden, I wake up half an hour later. I'm sweating. I'm like thinking to myself, how can I be sweaty? How can I be cold as well? It's cold sweat. I've got no fluid, subcutaneous fluid. Suddenly I started getting a pounding headache. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm just going to lay here, relax. I'm going to take the sheets off. Maybe I'm overheating. I'm getting sweatier and sweatier. I'm not feeling well. My heart starts to race. I'm like, okay, shit. I want to get up off the bed. I'm like, well, I'm feeling really weak. I can't even get off the bed. What's happening here? And I'm starting to realize, wait a minute, there's nothing in the system, plus I'm really badly dehydrated. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm alone here. How often do the cleaners come in? How long will it take them to find me afterwards?
Oh my God.
I'm like, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. I managed to get up off the bed. I had a big block of chocolate, had the sugar in, drank probably 2 liters of water. Okay, still feeling crappy. I lie back down. Half an hour passes. Okay, I'm starting to feel a bit of relief. I'm starting to feel better. The body starts to metabolize the sugars. You have the water coming in. Okay, I'm really starting to feel good now. Okay, feeling normal. I'm like, I don't care at this stage anymore. Went to sleep. Woke up 5 hours later. I'm like, oh, I feel better, much more energized, happier. I don't feel like I'm on death's door.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror. I'm like, holy shit.
You're looking better.
I look better than I did the night before. I'm looking really dry, really vascular, really full. And I realized, hang on a second, I went too far with the dehydration and then really starving yourself of everything. And I think that was a lesson well learned. Because I think I almost crossed that fine line. And I think that's how a lot of people get into trouble and some even die.
Well, it is. When I ended up going to hospital because I was dieting, but it was also part of my my colitis. I lost my diet and I had colitis syndrome. So I ended up in hospital just for them, I think they put me on a drip to hydrate me too. This is how far I went with my own diet and my and taking performance enhancing drugs. But the funniest was when they gave me the cookies and the tea. Oh my God, vascular and muscular.
I know, right?
I went, oh
like
my
that,
God,
almost.
now I look amazing. What the fuck? And it is, you really need to pay attention when you're feeling flat, even when you're dieting.
For sure.
At the moment, when I got to 89.75, I was listening to Scott, the mechanic. You know, I do like to listen to people. And
Is that Scott Slamon?
yes.
Yes. I've
He's
seen
very-
him.
yeah,
He's a very knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, very knowledgeable. But he said something about, look, if you know, sometimes you've got to like refeed yourself a bit, like carb up. So instead of 100 grams of carbs, I've gone to 200 grams of carbs. So in other words, I've decided just to add another 100 grams onto my food just for a week, because even though I've gone to 89.75 and it might tip me to 91, I think I need to shock it with food again so that we can get back into saying, oh, he's back into dieting, we can relax. Because the body plateaus and it becomes very flat. And I
100%.
think, yeah. And that's what I'm saying with bodybuilding, and competing, you can be as ripped as you want and dehydrate, but are you fueling your body? It needs certain sugars as well.
100%. And I think that was a really eye-opening moment. I'm like, well, yes, I look good, but at what expense? You know, you really need to monitor those things. And it's very easy to slip into that because I like to call it the runaway effect. Once your body gets into that stage where you're burning everything off really quickly, it's got that momentum. And even afterwards, I was eating whatever I wanted to. I was up to like 5,500 calories a day for 2 weeks. I was still losing weight.
Yeah.
I was still getting leaner and leaner and leaner. I'm like, shit. Eventually it catches up.
It does.
It slows down. But you got to be really careful because, like you said, you start to look great, but then you ignore the warning signs.
Well, not only you look great, then you start to think, oh, if I tweak harder, I'll look better. And that's where it all goes wrong.
Yeah,
because then it costs you muscle. It costs you muscle quality, it costs you muscle mass. Because the body's got to eat something. And if it doesn't have the fat, what's it going to eat? It's going to eat your muscles. It's going to eat stuff.
Everything. And then you're going to start to quickly compensate with more food and you start to spill over and look watery. And
No, I know. I've seen that. You've got a passion for science engineering, which we just spoke about. Elon, and you want to be like Elon Musk.
would be nice.
Why? And you want, I love physics, technology, and what the future holds for mankind. So yeah, Elon Musk, you like him?
I do like him. I think a lot of people give him crap, but I think he does a lot. And he does do a lot with good intention, I think. And a lot of the times, people, I guess something that we don't understand, we vilify it when we don't understand. I think a lot of people don't get the technology he's working on. He's not working on it to take over the world. He's making the world a better place. I mean, look at Skylink internet that he's created. Mm-hmm. If you're in a remote location, you can log in and you have internet access. EVs, I'm not the biggest fan of electric cars.
But do you think, I was going to say to you, do you think electric cars are, though, really environmentally friendly?
They're not, of course not. Their net carbon footprint is bigger than most petrol cars.
But why is he pushing that narrative?
It's a trend. He's making money off a trend. It's simple as that.
Yeah, I know, but when we're talking about... So maybe the thing is with Elon Musk, what makes him... Is he a physicist?
He does. He's got a physics degree and an engineering degree, funny enough.
So
that's how he started.
He's a very intelligent guy.
He's a very smart guy.
Very smart guy. But do you think that's what makes him a standout? Because sometimes and you correct me if I'm wrong, that physicists lose themselves into their science and don't bring it out into the real world as a business and monetize it in a way that you can become an entrepreneur with it.
And I think
because you basically give it to entrepreneurs to utilize your smarts.
And he's been smart enough to understand that.
And he does it himself.
I think so. Some of it he does himself. Others, he's smart enough to understand that others are better at doing exactly what you said, bringing it out to the market, understanding psychology, trends. And he does that. He's got entire teams that do that. And I think...
that's what makes him a great entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Because he brings in other teams.
He's able to realize his strengths and weaknesses. And he's been able to leverage off that. And look where he's at. So I think a lot of technology he's creating, I think is good for our future because a lot of it will transcend to medicine, to... fitness, to energy sources, whatever. I think the sky's the limit. I think he's just not misunderstood well because he's that far ahead of the trend, maybe.
He is, but I think with the EV, I think it's
a long-term solution.
Huh?
It's not a long-term solution.
No, and I think it's going to catch up with him because...
Probably.
I think it will. I think he definitely went against the whole narrative of... Because I think they've tried these... electronic vehicles in the past.
They have.
And I think they failed miserably. And I think they're not sustainable for the earth, both breaking down, but also the mining side. I still believe why I don't know we haven't is hydrogen.
I think that's
water.
the future.
I think water, actually, I think you can just have water recycling with evaporation. And if you learn how to do it smartly, you actually never need to plug in your car ever again or fuel it or do anything. I think you can just run your car in a way that creates water, just like turbines work with water, and you can run your car.
100%. Absolutely. I think
you don't need a battery. You don't need anything. You just need the water circulating. I mean, when I say you don't need a battery, you don't need to. I don't think. Like I said, I think hydrogen.
I think it's absolutely. Look, I think EV. Look at it this way, and there's been a lot of accounts of this. For example, in the US or Canada, people are stuck in snowstorms in their EVs. You have to make a decision: do you keep the car running, or do you preserve enough energy to get you home, or do you keep the heater running? You can't have both. People froze to death. You're in the middle of the desert. You run out of energy. Where are you going to plug it in?
That's right.
How? People say, well, you can have solar panels. Yes, but the point being is it's not sustainable. I think you're right. Hydrogen is the way of the future. And the reason being is because with hydrogen, it's old technology is well understood. The only thing that they're developing now are the hydrogen cells for the cars so they don't rupture. But you don't even have to change much in your engine bay. No. Not really. It's just a few extra components, and that's it.
It's just like everything. It's your carburetor or your
but you get 30-40% more power.
That's what I'm saying. It's mainly the top end of the motor that you're really changing.
That's all you're doing.
That's all you're doing, and like I said, you just run run certain tanks. And if you know how to understand evaporation and you can create water condensation in it, I mean, the sky's the limit where you can go with that.
Absolutely, and I think absolutely as soon as I think a lot of people
and more power, and your car can sound like a car.
Exactly right. exactly right.
You know,
and I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to that fact now too, and there's a lot of now research going into developing safe hydrogen cells.
Yeah.
Once they solve that problem, it'll be a revolution. Maybe not overnight, but very quickly. Because the thing is, with EV, you have to change the entire energy system. So what I'm saying is the entire world is built on oil. Tens of millions of jobs are at stake. They're not just going to shut it down overnight. It's crazy. With hydrogen, you don't shut anything down. You just change the source.
Yeah.
Everything still remains the same, well, to an extent. But it's the fuel that changes. That's all it is. It's not as extreme as EV. And so...
Well, you still need the lubricant. You still need certain oils.
Exactly.
But our biggest problem is continued burning of petrol.
Yeah. Look, that's not going to end. I think the solution is going to be hydrogen and alternative fuels. I think cleaner fuels, yes, it's not good for the environment, for the atmosphere, but I think unless we develop some sort of fusion drive really quickly, I don't know, something crazy or extreme, I think petrol's here to stay. I think we'll be more efficient in using it, but that's not going anywhere, not for a long time.
Look, the other thing I'm going to say is, I mean, soon if they're going to go with a carbon dioxide tax, they're going to start taxing us for breathing. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So at the end of the day, this story about carbon dioxide is just a fear-mongering type style that they're doing with us because, I mean, they talk about the cows and they talk about this and talk about that. But at the end of the day, I think the Earth works on that. It needs carbon dioxide to transport it into oxygen, which is basically why we have plantation that helps us do it. I think.
Do you know, if people say you can't cut down the Amazon rainforest, most of the oxygen is created by the oceans, not the forests.
There you go.
So they account for something like 90% of the world's oxygen. So even if you cut down the entire Amazon rainforest, it won't make a difference. Look, it might tiny amount, but
But like I said to you, when they sit there and do talk about carbon dioxide, I don't think anyone understands that you breathe out carbon dioxide. Every single one of us, 8 trillion people in the world is breathing out carbon dioxide. So if you're going to start trying to tax our meats, maybe you better start taxing us as well. Yeah. So like I said, it's
and that'll happen. Mate, scary enough.
Well, I think that's a hot topic. Don't want to.
It is a hot topic.
It is. I know. I might even have it, but we'll try to push through. You're into movies. I noticed that you've been in 2 movies. Is that correct?
I have. I've been in Underbelly, which you know what it is about. It's Australian underworld TV series. I played a cop in that. 3 days worth of filming. I met Michael Caton, you know, from The Castle. He was on the show. He was played Chopper Reed's dad. 3 days worth of filming, a lot of shooting, a lot of footage. But there was even me driving the car up, investigating, talking. They cut it down to literally like 3 seconds of just me appearing.
So that's Chris's job.
Yeah.
So, you know, this podcast, you'll probably be on it for 3 minutes and he'll have me on there for the whole time.
You know what,
so if you're not nice to Chris, you're not going to be on the podcast much.
Chris is going to... And I've been on a really big production. It was filmed in Melbourne called Judy and Punch. You know Punch and Judy, those kids fighting things? They've turned into a movie. And so I was on that. I was playing a townsfolk. And again, I think I had a few major lines. 3 days worth of filming as well. Long days. But they cut it down of me just being in the background, me throwing stuff, me doing stuff, and that was it. And I think that's the hard reality. I think it was also to save money, because I think if you speak, I think they have to pay you by word. As with that, it just ended up being $300 appearance fee.
Have you done acting school?
Not formally. I've done a lot of classes back in high school, but I would love to do proper school as well.
So do you come in like more like an extra?
At the moment, yes, but on the original shoot for Underbelly, it was like a proper part. But I think it ended up being an extra because they figured out, as long as they get the narrative and as long as it makes sense logically, they don't really need all these extra characters on that.
Is there anything you don't do, Phil? Does that brain stop at all?
Never.
Never stops?
No.
Because, I mean, I've watched you. You also like to do the occasional comical skit of around meal discipline. You've sung a song over being challenged to eat healthy or in a deficit, and also sneaking around in a dark place like you're some SAS soldier ready to raid the fridge.
You saw that one with the Axel at Beverly Hills Cop in the background.
That's right. So you like a bit of comedy, I noticed. So you like your acting. Absolutely.
Look, I've always liked it. I think getting into that would probably be pretty damn cool. So,
and you're writing something, aren't you?
Yes, I'm working on a script at the moment for a TV show. Well, I don't know, potentially a TV show, maybe like a 3-part movie or 4-part movie, like 4 movies. I don't know. But
are you allowed to, can you share that, or you want to keep it close to your chest?
I will definitely share that with you personally. Okay. I just want to do some more finishing touches on it, some more work, because I'm not 100% happy with it. But absolutely, by all means, I think.
But good on you. I like the fact that, you know, I mean, you're very intelligent, but you're actually very creative, and I
try to be.
And are most intelligent people like that, physicists, engineers, are they creative, or you're just a bit of a freak of nature? Because not everybody's a bodybuilder either.
I guess.
Dr. Ash is a dentist and a veterinarian, and
there you go.
He's he's got a pro card in men's physique.
I think I just enjoy life. I try to get the most out of it, and things just interest me. And being super competitive like I am, I just like pushing myself and to really see how far I can go with something.
And you also cars.
I do like cars.
We spoke about cars. What do you drive?
So at the moment, I've got a 2013 Volvo S60 Polestar. So if you know much about Volvos, the Polestar was like the M version for BMW.
Yeah.
So it's fast, it's reliable, it's safe. Well, you can't go wrong.
Volvo is the most safest cars in the world.
That's right. I've driven Mitsubishi Lancer before. I've had a sub 9000 Aero, which is the turbocharged version that they made in the 90s. That was cool. I wanted to get a Chrysler 300 SRT, but because it was during COVID times, the prices were astronomical. I'm like, no, it's ridiculous. I've tried rally driving, rally schools. That was cool.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I'm
And
really-
I saw you driving some kind of formula car too.
Oh, that was a uni. So I was part of a team. We built a race car from scratch.
Yes.
So that was interesting. It was an EV, by the way.
Okay.
Funny enough.
EV.
It was really light. It had, 400 kilowatts or something. It was so light we couldn't get traction. It was impossible. Every time we start, you couldn't get anywhere. It was very good around corners. It was very quick. I think it won.
And then rally cars, yeah?
Rally cars. I like rally cars too. I watch Formula One sometimes. Anything really.
And you wanted to be a fighter pilot?
When I was out of high school, yeah, I love planes. I still do. I started to enter the course, and then my dad had to talk with me. He said, "That's great. You'll do well. You really love what you do, but think about this. You're going to be stuck in the middle of a desert for the rest of your life, away from everything and everyone else. And if you want to have family, pursue something else, it'll be quite hard because you're on call. And you got to do it for at least 10 years to get good at it, because they spend a lot of money on you. They spend a lot of resources for you to get good. So maybe have it as a hobby one day." And so I've always loved flight sims. I've had flight lessons before. Maybe in another lifetime,
What did your dad do?
He was a civil engineer, but he's retired now.
So he's an intelligent fellow as well.
He did okay.
He did okay. It's just that, like your dad, I'm assuming, left Russia to come to Australia and have a go here, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So isn't it funny how he took a massive risk to leave his family to come to the desert?
And he was very super successful back there, like to the point where people don't believe me. He was in with the government. He knew people. He had his own construction, huge business going.
What made him do this? What made him turn into a bodybuilder that goes nowhere?
Wait, with me or my dad?
I'm using the analogy of your dad leaving a very successful place to come to Australia.
I think it was just the times.
Which Australia was still developing in growth. It was.
I think it was just the times. I think because, as you know, back then it was the Soviet Union, the USSR, different political system, and I think it was starting to collapse. And he looked at himself and he said, "You know what? This is dangerous. It can go one of both ways. Either it turns into a capitalist country like it is now, or it goes back to extreme communism, a full-blown dictatorship, which means anyone who's made any money via capitalist ways, like he did, they're all going to get imprisoned automatically, including their families. So there's 50-50.
Yeah,
there's a huge risk. He goes, it's not worth this. So he just left everything, the business, the money, everything, and just said, no, it's not worth it.
Wow.
And he was very, very successful. I'm talking very high up.
Wow.
So, but you know what? Looking back now, he probably did make the right decision. So
He did?
Because in the 90s, it was called the wild 90s for a reason. There was absolute chaos.
Yeah. It has changed a lot.
So-
What do you think of the interview with Tucker Carlson?
It was really interesting, very eye-opening. I think what it made me realize is how little we can believe the media,
Yeah.
both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
I think, make of it what you will, but I think Carlson opened up to the fact that, hang on a second, there's another side to the story. Right or wrong, I don't know. But how much of a spin the media puts on things, I think that's what a lot of people get caught up in. And I must admit, I've been caught up in that as well. And I think it really gives you a different perspective and makes you stop yourself and say, hang on a second. What am I really looking at? Is this actually true? Such and such. So, but Tucker Carlson, he's an interesting guy. And I think I commend him the fact that he's got the courage to go against the flow and actually do things his own way and pursue things. Because he really does open things up for you to think differently. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, the world is a mess right now, though.
Well, the thing is, I think maybe we've just got the Western narrative going on. I think maybe we have that also in bodybuilding. I guess we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know Chinese bodybuilders. We don't know Russian bodybuilders.
There's some really good ones out there.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
there's...
The Koreans are freaks now, if you look them up.
So I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on, but maybe, but there's definitely a narrative. But, it's always been... even back in Julius Caesar's days, the Roman Empire, they've all wanted to take over the world.
Oh, that's right. Well, I think there's even an old saying, I think, the victor writes history,
That's right.
Whoever's the most powerful in the moment, they'll say how things are, even if it may not be true.
And that's what I've realised. History sometimes isn't so true.
It's true.
Any good back program needs deadlifts, a variation of deadlifts.
100%.
And you said no weight is too heavy for you. Explain both statements.
I think what I mean by that is being able to push yourself with any exercise. You have to progressively overload to get better, whether you're natural or not. It's just the way the body works. Your body likes to be comfortable. Thanks to millions of years of evolution, that's why we survived. But I think
That the body likes.
body doesn't like change. It likes
Right.
to conserve as much as it can.
Yes.
So to really push past that, you have to really force yourself, and it's very uncomfortable to do. And so deadlifts, I think, is just an example of saying it's one of those big, heavy, uncomfortable exercises, but to get a good back, you have to be able to endure that unpleasantness and do it. And so, but also because it's simply a great compound movement that I think a lot of people don't do. Yes, it's hard to do it right, and it's hard to lift heavy, but I think it pays off in dividends. Just like I think squats and bench presses are.
I haven't done that. I don't know why. I only did deadlifts during the pandemic because I had nothing else to do and I was doing it all the time. What is it about deadlifts though?
It's a great back and whole body exercise. And I don't know, it's just something raw about it. You're lifting this huge weight off the ground and sheer strength.
Big testosterone builder?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great compound movement.
And tell me something, how much of it do you need to do? That's what I'm going to ask. How much deadlifts?
I personally I haven't done deadlifts a few weeks now, but I would usually do them once a week, properly.
But how many exercises or sets?
4 or 5 sets
Just 4 or 5 sets of
of
deadlifts.
deadlifts.
That's it.
I mean, really pushing yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's enough because couple that with all your other back exercises, you have a great back program.
Do you predominantly do it when you're doing back?
Yeah, I like to do deadlifts on back days. I find
You do deadlifts, Chris?
I do, yeah, once a week.
I find doing deadlifts on leg days too hard because are you going to focus on deadlifts or legs? You can't really do both. You can try, but you won't get the same quality, I believe, personally.
I might try to incorporate deadlifts. I haven't done it.
I usually start off with deadlifts, then straight up to pull-ups, and then all the other back
Hang on,
exercises.
let me have a look here. 272.5 kilos.
600 pounds, that's my max ever
One.
for one rep.
How much? 600 pounds.
Yeah, that's my best ever.
What's your best deadlift?
Probably like 140, 150.
That's very good still.
I think my best. Yeah, my best is. I think my best is 175.
It's very good. That's almost double your body weight.
Yeah, 175. And my son, who was 16 at the time, I think that was around the time of COVID. Yeah, 16. His was 165. Yeah, he's a
Strong guy.
But he wanted to compete against his dad. He always does. And now he's.
I can see why.
Yeah, I know it's true. But I'm a nice guy. I don't know why he wants to take me out. One time, as he grew up older, because the kid wants to fight with you. So when he was little, I could just push him away. And now he's nearly your height, probably your height. He's 17, and he's done taekwondo, and now he's doing BJJ. But the thing is now, when he hasn't asked me for a while, but he goes, "Can we spar?" And man, I look at him when we're outside the front lawn, and I think this guy's going to break me. So I actually think to myself, I've got to hit him in the jaw. I'm going to attack my own son because I want to.
Sorry, buddy, it was reflex.
So when he comes at me, I just go, I've got to scare him off. God love him, but that's how it is.
Sounds like an amazing relationship, to be honest.
We do have a good one. We do. I mean, we do. My kids are a bit like they tell me what to do too much, how I should act. I think they think I'm, like you said, I think they think I'm Johnny Depp. Sometimes they tell me, my daughter, she did performing arts, right? She does performing arts. She studied at ED5, which is one of the highest, probably most astute performing arts schools. So my daughter's a triple threat. But when I had to go see her at her practice concerts at the college, at the whatever you call it, she'd always go to me, "Listen, when you come, I need you to sit down the back." I said, "Why, Rube?" She goes, "And I don't want you to talk to anyone." I said, "They talk to me, I don't do it." She goes, "No, you come in, you sit down the back and you don't talk to anyone." But I think my daughter thinks I'm an eccentric. And I'm not. I'm very much an introverted type person. But when people talk to me, I seem to like to talk to them.
Yeah, and that's okay.
But my daughter, my kids, mate, I wasn't allowed to. If I told
That's
you,
fine. That's funny.
I was. Okay. Another hot topic quickly. This is a hot topic because we do hot topic. Politics. Ronald Reagan once said, "We are always a generation away from losing our freedom." Are we in that generation at the moment? And how fragile is it?
I really hope not. Because of the way things are going, it's a fine line. And the scary thing is, I think the frightening thing is, it's, in my personal opinion, it's much easier now for people to lose not only their freedom, but for there to be miscalculations. So simply based on things like fake news, social media, advanced AI, computerization. Back in the day, you didn't have that. What you heard, you took at face value. Now it's a lot harder. So things like fake news can be misinterpreted, can cause problems. So it's a scary thought.
It is, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you like? I think Ronald Reagan was right, because it depends what kind of a president you are. Are you a president that had the firm belief and the team around him for the greater good of all people, or are you a president that is on the verge of a schizophrenic and he's about to fucking he's a bit of an assassin that would be a mass murderer, but the fact that he's into it, like, I mean, it sounds such extremes. But what I mean is, some people can be quite loopy in any position and get into that position to be quite loopy. And I think that's what Ronald Reagan was trying to say, we're a generation to lose our freedoms. It depends if you are a serving president that has the greater good for the country and the nation, build America great, or build Australia great, or are you one that conforms to filling up your back pockets with Swiss bank accounts?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I honestly believe that starting out, everyone's altruistic. I think it's for the greater good of the country. But I think people have to realize that prime ministers, presidents, they're just the face of the party. They don't really have the power to say. It's what goes on behind them, the advisors, everyone else. Those are the real power brokers, I think. They're just the face of it. I'm sure there's a lot of altruism, but I think reality settles in very quickly. What's feasible? Not just from a financial perspective, but the way things are done. So, for example, I'm assuming the president, when he comes into the White House in the US, they tell him, all right, this is how we do things. We want to continue doing these things. What are your thoughts? You can put your spin on it. But ultimately, we don't really want to diverge too much from that. That's my interpretation of that. Yeah. You have brazen presidents that try their own net push, and sometimes with great success, sometimes not so much. I don't know. It's very hard to say, because there's so much false news, fake news out there. There's so much misinformation. It's becoming harder and harder to separate fact from fiction. And I think from that, I'm not 100% sure what to believe anymore. I think just keep your ear to the ground. Watch out for the warning signs. Think ahead what may potentially happen, and just be prepared. I think that's all you can do.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we are.
I really hope not.
I just hope that, like, I've got a cost of living question towards the end.
Yeah,
that's
go for
another
it.
hot topic, but we'll keep going. So tell me something. Tell me about your competitions. What was your first comp? What was your favourite comp? And tell me about that New Zealand competition that you went over for.
Yeah. First one was in 2012. Put on a lot of mass. I got to find a photo, but I wasn't very lean, so I came 6th or 7th. My posing wasn't very good, but I enjoyed the process of getting ready for it, stepping.
What comp was that?
It was in Melbourne. What was it called? It was for a federation. It's called ANB. Australasian Natural Bodybuilding. That's right. It was just the state championships. And funny enough, I met a guy there who became a really good friend of mine. And yeah, I didn't think much of it. I just really enjoyed it. And I think I enjoyed the process of getting ready. And I just thought, you know what, I could do this. And so then year after year, I kept entering them. And eventually I started to get really good. 3rd, 2nd, I started to win. And I did a contest in 2017 in Melbourne. It was a state champs. I think I came 2nd. And that New Zealand championship was 3 weeks or 4 weeks later. And they said they'll be giving away pro cards. And I qualified for it. I'm like, you know what, 3-4 weeks, I'm going to do it. 4 weeks of extra dieting, I'm already reasonably lean. It's an eternity. I can get really, really lean. And that's what I did. And I really focused on my posing every single day. And I went in. And I think I won 2 divisions. I won over 90 kilo. Was I exactly 90 kilos? I won 90 kilos and over. And I won the open. And I went into I think there's a video of it somewhere. I've got to find it. And that's the one where I felt like I was going to die.
Okay.
And I was in really good shape. And I guess I just went through my routine. They liked it. And I'm on my pro card, and I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I'm like, I'll probably come second or third. There's people from New Zealand here competing and this and that. Yeah. And I won the whole thing. I was shocked, but at the same time, it was like this sense of relief. I've made this particular level now.
Oh, the pro card level.
The pro card level, I can relax. What next? And they told me, because we had a little party that night, and I said, we have a natural Mr. Universe in the Philippines, so we're glad he should come. And I had my exams on. I'm like, oh, I can't. Come, it's fine. And I never did, but I'm thinking maybe I should have diverted and flown up, maybe take that out as well, because I was already in really good shape.
Yeah. So that was 2017?
Yes, 2017.
And what's been a comp after that?
I did one in 2019. I think it was late 2019 in Sydney, actually, funny enough. Mm-hmm. What was the name of their federation? They're good. They're growing, NBA or INBA or something like that. And I think I came 4th or 5th or something, because it was a crash diet. I only did it for 8 weeks because it was a last minute decision. So I wasn't in my best shape. But I guess getting back into that mindset of getting ready, getting prepped, getting lean, practicing your posing, I think I liked it. And then COVID hit, because I was going to do it in 2020, 2021 and just go all the way through. And because that extra year, I would have been really, really good. And so then work really started to get busy, and then we got married, and then we had a child. And so I decided to do one last year.
Oh, yes.
So I was getting lean, and let me tell you, getting prepped and ready with a child, with a small child, under the age of 2, it really is difficult. The sleepless nights, the stress of work, the stress of this and that, getting enough food in you. I got lean. I got very lean. Not as lean as I like to be, but still very lean. And I think I came 3rd. That's right. And it was great, because it was more of getting back into the groove of things, seeing how I respond, how the body responds, how I feel on the day, etc. It was great, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I'm gonna, as I said, depending how I look towards the end of May, see whether I go all the way and maybe do a few contests later in the year as a precursor for the Natural Olympia in, I think it's early December in the US.
This year?
I think this year, yeah. If I look decent in late May, because they'll set me up to see where I need to be, etc.
So are you going to do any comps prior to that?
No, I don't think. I'm going to take my time and get lean.
You did a comp last year?
That's right.
Which was? What was the comp last year?
It was Nationals on the Gold Coast.
Who was it? You've got to know your federations, mate.
Yeah, sorry.
Or do you just rock up ripped and you don't know? Mate, this looks like a comp.
There you go. Nat Body, natural body. It's called Nat Bod.
Yeah, Nat Bod.
Nat Bod. That's what I did it with.
I think was that the photo I sent you? Was that Nat Bod? And I said, there you are in the background, and you go, oh, it's not my best shot.
Yes, that's the one. Yes. That's right. That's the one. And so they're really good with the way they run things. I was really impressed. Very professional, all about the athletes, and the judging is really, really good. So yeah, just see how I look in May. If I look really good, I'll keep dieting, training really hard. I'll come back, do that, maybe do INBA, because INBA, PNBA is the Natural Olympia in the US, a different fed. And if I'm really, really good and I feel I can do really well, maybe jump in that and do that. But
so you are going to possibly compete this year?
Potentially. Again, see what the schedule is like, see how I'm feeling, how I'm looking, because there's a lot at stake at the moment in terms of family, work, this, that, trying to balance it.
Who do you work for?
I work for a off-road company called ARB.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So they develop a lot of off-road stuff, the engineering department there. Massive company, turns out. Interesting work, but it's a massive commitment. There's a lot of work, so it's a bit hard, especially getting the meals down and all that. So see where we're at.
How many meals a day do you knock down? How many calories are you when you're
off-season at the moment? Probably not more than 3,000 at the moment.
And when you're,
because I'm not as super active.
And when you're going into prepping for a comp, when you're 16
the first
weeks
month,
out?
My calorie intake jumps right up because I'm burning so much all the time. But then as I get closer, obviously I start to cut back more and more. Yeah. So as I get more active, I'll actually increase. But at the moment, probably not more than 3,000. And I feel good doing that because I'm not overeating as well.
So but what about when you're a month out, how many calories are you?
Oh, it'd be pretty low. I think probably go down to well under 2,000, probably 1,800.
And then when you're a week out?
Depends how I look. Sometimes I've had to drop it down to 1,600. Sometimes I maintain it at 1,800.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Because your body changes every time. It's not always the same, I find.
And do you find 2 weeks out of a comp, are you into maintenance level more? That you're not pushing as hard?
Yeah, a week and a half out, probably more maintenance and starting to see how
Is it more rep driven?
a lot of rep driven, a lot of volume, and seeing how my water balance looks, everything, how I'm feeling.
Tell me about water balance. What's water balance?
So essentially how dry I look. So my subcutaneous fluid. But at the same time, I'm very careful trying not to dehydrate myself and make sure I have the correct potassium sodium balance so I can still train and work out hard and not cramp up, not have other issues, and that becomes more of a factor because at that stage you're not going to burn much more off in a week and a half. I mean, if you're not lean, you're not lean. If you're lean, you're lean. So all you can do is try to work to how well you look on the day in terms of how lean, how dry you look, and how you're feeling, how full you are, etc., etc. Because if you're not lean, you're not lean. If you're not ready, you're not ready.
And tell me something. What are the vitamins you take? Do you take vitamins?
Just the multivitamin from time to time. I'm fairly simple. I have a good protein powder, a vitamin. I'll occasionally take pre-workout if I'm pushing really hard. Amino acids, that's it. And mostly diet driven.
Yeah.
I'm not the sort of guy that'll go, I've got to have my L-glutamine separately. I've got to have my vitamin A pill right here at that particular time of the day. No, because...
Do you have creatine and all that kind of stuff?
I used to use creatine. I've had good results, but I tend to hold huge amounts of water away from it. For some reason, I just react.
I think creatine does do that sometimes.
And I've noticed that when I eat enough red meat, I get plenty of creatine from red meat anyway. So.
And what's your go-to diet usually? What's your comp diet usually?
I just try to lower the calories. I still try to get variety in. Obviously, less carbohydrates, more protein, less calories. Mm-hmm. But I still try to have various meats, your poultry, your beefs, your seafoods and fishes, all kinds of vegetables. Nuts, I like nuts, peanut butter. And
what's your favourite meal?
Off-season or just?
Give me off-season.
I like pizza.
Pizza. What's your pizza?
The lot.
What about you, Chris? What's your off-season favourite food?
I'm always off-season, but...
You actually look like you've leaned up a little bit when I noticed you when you came. But then again, Chris feels pretty big. So we all look small next to Phil.
Again, you're trying to make me blush.
We all look small next to Phil. Go on, what do you look like?
My favourite meal.
Yeah, favourite meal, mate. I mean, let's not wipe out the batteries on the phones, on the cameras.
Yeah,
mate.
I don't know, man. Probably like a nice little hamburger.
Hamburger, huh?
I must admit, a good burger definitely hits the spot.
Yeah.
100%.
Fuck, there's some good burgers out there. I think, I do enjoy on an off season, and if I can just, I don't give a fuck if this one plate is 3,000 calories. I do enjoy a good spag bowl.
Yes, 100%.
Fucking a spag bowl, but a big fat fucking bowl, and you sat there watching, say, the AFL or the rugby league, and it's a bottomless spag bowl.
And there's so much cheese you can't even see the spaghetti. That's right.
That's what I mean. I love a good spag bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
And so much meat you can't see the pasta either.
Yeah. So if you're going to do it, you're going to do it properly.
I love a good spag
exactly.
bowl. You like a spag bowl?
Yeah, I love that.
It's got to be a bottomless pit spag bowl. You know what I mean? Like fucking big Jethro bowl, and you sit there.
We need a hand to get up off the couch afterwards.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, I love it. A good spag bowl. What's your favourite food on season?
I'm actually a pretty simple guy in terms of on season. Probably a good meat, whether it's poultry, beef, or fish, and good vegetables. Oh, I like hot food, so I really like to add jalapenos on off season. On season, it really hits it well when you have a bit of heat in all that food because it gives it a bit of flavour, a bit of volume, and a bit of texture. Just makes you feel good and warm inside. I don't know.
Yeah, I. What about you?
Probably like a nice steak.
Steak, yeah. I think I like. Again, I like a bowl. I like my bowls, but I do like. I like rice and tuna.
I like rice and tuna too.
And I don't mind in early stages. I don't mind a touch of like a bit of olive oil or olives in it. Seedless olives, because I like seeds, but when you want to hoe in, you don't want to fucking be chucking. You just want to be chomping.
Your teeth fall out.
Yeah, your teeth fall out. But I don't mind, a little bit of mayo, just a touch.
Oh, absolutely.
But I do like a good, if it's nice tuna with rice, it's
The simplicity, I love it as well. The simplicity just hits the spot. People,
it's like a comfort food. I think
really
I'm
is.
into comfort foods.
A lot of people when I eat a lot of tuna, they call it cat food. They're like, "Oh, you're eating cat food again." I'm like, I don't know. There's something about it. I could survive off this. No
Yes,
problem.
there's something about tuna that is. I told people when I stress, and someone pointed it out that obviously when you're stressed, you become destructive.
Absolutely.
That's like when you hit alcohol or you hit chocolate or you hit whatever. For me, when I'm stressed, I'll be honest with you, I eat tuna. Don't ask me why. I rip open a can of tuna.
I do that sometimes, yeah.
And I don't know why. I think I'm explosive, and then I think I need protein for some reason. So I do enjoy rice with tuna. That's what kind of my on season. So what else have we got here? I've got all your notes here. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, we talked about your arts. We talked about in your underbelly. That's correct. In regards to exercise bodybuilding, my approach is quite conventional while implementing a lot of older era methods, which includes heavy free weight followed by cable. But diet remains similar all year round. So you're basically pretty much a healthy eater all year round?
To an extent, I think. I don't get me wrong, I love my treats and stuff like that, but I don't go overboard with, I've got to include certain spices in every meal, or I've got to include certain flavors. Like, if it's filling, it's tasty, and it's got the right macronutrients, I'll eat it. I'm not going to, get too crazy about what exactly it is that I'm eating in the moment.
So, okay, so you mentioned you got a child. How old?
Yes, 2.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Yeah, you're gone. You're gone.
Everyone keeps saying that.
Yeah, you're gone. You're gone. It's just the way it is. Yeah. If you had a boy, you lose your wife. Boys take your wife away, but thankfully a girl you seem to have 2 women now in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
But you said it's very hard to compete with the daughter. Why is that?
It's not specific to daughter. I just think.
No, sorry, specific to a 2-year-old or a child.
Just a child. I think. Yeah. Well, because
Sorry, what's your daughter's name?
Evie.
Evelyn. I know this is evergreen. This podcast. You'll probably hear in the future. I was complaining about you, but no, it wasn't. It was everybody. Every child at 2.
No, that's fine. No, I love it to death. I think it's just there's more to do per day. And it's funny, there's this misconception. People think when you have children, your life stops. You can no longer do whatever you enjoy doing. It's not true. You can still do whatever you enjoy doing. You just bring them along for the ride while you do it. They're just there. That's all it is. And I think there's just more to do in a day now with a child. So you have less time to think and do what you want to do, which means you have to be just, be more uncomfortable, push yourself, do it at weird hours, which makes it a bit more difficult and not as natural as it would be if, like, for example, you had all extra time. That's all.
So you're doing a lot of midnight workouts.
That's right, and absolutely. Sometimes when I go to bed, I'll go to the gym at 9 p.m. at 9. I'll be there until 11.
Yeah. No, Dr. Ash does that as well.
Makes it harder, but you can still do it. But I just know that it's a bit more challenging. That's all.
Do you know, Chris, as well, and you probably know this, Phil, do you know in the past there was a bit of a practice that bodybuilders ate baby food?
Yes, absolutely.
Do they still do that? Yeah. And has it still got that kind of nutrients? I'm having a look at it. You know eating baby food's got so much nutrients in it.
It tastes really good.
Does it?
Sometimes I'll have it, like if she doesn't finish it, her purees or whatever, or the desserts, I'm like, I'll eat it. I'm like, man, this is great stuff.
It's full of good nutrients.
And it's tasty, yes.
Yeah, but bodybuilders will buy baby food.
Yeah, that's right.
That would be their, or part of their meal plan.
Like a snack or something.
Yeah, but like you could get, I'm going to start looking into it. Oh my God, it just dawned on me.
It's not cheap though.
Shit.
It's not cheap. Like per serving, if you look at it, it's not that cheep. But you know what? It tastes great. If she doesn't finish it, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'll finish it.
What about, how do you said, I was going to ask you before we go over the body and one more hot topic that I got. How do you deal with criticism, haters, external factors and keep
that's
improving?
Funny.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest, I'm like every other person. You can't be completely invincible to it. Happens from time to time. Sometimes I'll engage.
How do you engage?
I'll fight back. I'll say stupid stuff and then eventually I'll get sick of it and tired of it, and I'll say to myself, you know what? It's a waste of time. Why do you even bother? And I'll completely ignore them. Completely. Just completely go dead. And I think that really angers them. Like, why aren't you responding? I just don't even respond. And recently, like, if anyone tries anything, I just don't even answer at all. Not even in the beginning. Nothing. Just complete silence. And I think, one, it preserves your own health, mental health, but also I'm not going to waste time anymore because why? You know?
Do you think it's growing and growing more and more in the
Absolutely.
online world? Yeah.
And the reason it's growing is because
Judgmental.
people realize, hang on a second, why don't they look away the way someone else does? So why aren't they successful? So naturally, us being human, I think we try to take it out on someone who's better than us. For example, you can't possibly be the good lad natural. You must be on steroids, or there's no way you could have earned that money. It must be drugs or handed down to you. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of it because people are insecure. And they're failing to realize the fact that they're not where they want to be is not because someone else is doing something unfairly or they're being mistreated. It's simply because you're just not working hard enough to get to where you want to be. That's all it is. But us humans, it's very hard for us to admit our own fallacies and admit to the fact that we have faults or we're not doing something right? So you're going to take it out on someone else. So I think that's all it is. And the fact that everyone now has a voice online makes it easier to do.
Well, I have this philosophy, firstly, that I want to answer everybody on social media, and I have.
I do the same, but
I'm saying even the haters. Like, I can't help myself. Meaning, when I say I can't help myself, meaning if my objective is to have 100% strike rate with people that make comments, then I'm going to go for it. But what I do is, which I do well, is I read their message backwards a few times. Back to me, sorry, a few times. So what I do, I read it, then I analyze it. Then I read it again, and I say to myself, how can I send back something comical, but actually seem like a dumb fuck to them? And then when they come back to me, I'm going to say, gotcha. So when they say to me something like...
a double whammy, I like
or
it.
they say, he's on the juice. I said, oh, yeah, he does enjoy the odd carrot and ginger and apple juice. And they go,
What?
No, you idiot, like steroids? And I went, gotcha. Or they'll go, he's on trend. I go, he's quite trendy, this guy. Yeah, I like him.
I like that.
And they kind of like, or they'll say something, I go, straight out, I'll just go, what is that? And then they'll do me a big explanation. And then I might just say, gotcha. Like, so I just want to answer everybody, but I do sit there and look at it to think. I'll tell you how funny it is. I've had people, when they reach out to you on social media, and they say, you can tell they're building up to ask you for money, right? So I've decided, like scammers, scammers.
Oh, scammers.
Yeah.
Like friends.
No, scammers. Scammers are like...
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a Sunday afternoon and I'm bored. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go with this person. So I try to extract money out of them. So they tell me about investing in doubling my money. And I said, what do you double your money on? And they say, let's say, shares. And I said, oh, me and my mates just invested 50K into this. I just make up a story. Maybe you should invest with us. But then they go, no. But my idea's better. And I said, but I think my idea's better. And then we're back and forth. But the best one is when I say to them, I really like this idea. Do you think I can get some mates involved? And they go, how many friends have you got? I go, I've got a few friends. I'd like to put money in it. And they go, yeah. And I just, trust me, I've got them on for 3 days. Oh, there he is again. So I actually, my goal is to give them my BSB number and see if I can extract money out of them. So that's my goal.
That's something similar. It was a cryptocurrency scam somewhere in Europe, and they did the same thing. Like, you got to invest. And I started acting dumb, and I told them, yeah, I agree, you should invest for me. They're like, no, you're going to give us money. I'm like, no. You rang me to tell me that you're going to invest for me. That's me telling them. That's like, why would we call you to ask for us to invest for you? I'm like, isn't that what this is about? And I would confuse them, and I'd go in loops backwards and forwards. And I remember one of the guys just screamed in the background and just hung up.
Oh yeah, no, I've had them where I've told them, like, I've got 10 guys that would be interested. Do you mind if I speak to them first? And they go, please do. And the next day they come back to me and say, have you spoken to your 10 friends? And I go like this, I didn't see him today. Hey, can you get back to me tomorrow? And they get back to me again the next day. They go, have you spoken to your 10 friends? I said, look, I've spoken to 2. I've got another 8 to talk to. How about you message me back tomorrow? And they come back again tomorrow. And I'm laughing my head off because I'm going, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly swing it that I think I've got a better investment and we're looking for investors. And they're going like, but do you think? And my goal is to give them my BSB number and see if I can get extracted.
You know what? One day it may work.
Oh, we'll see what happens. I'm persistent. You never know. If I do it, I'm going to post it. All right. A hot topic before we go over the body.
Go for it.
Housing affordability. I was seeing this on Google yesterday. It was just popped up on my Google search, when I was doing Google search. It's a housing affordability. It says, has reached an all-time crisis point with families forced to spend almost half their income on mortgage repayments. Experts have warned, and I that's what experts have warned, that half your wages now goes to repaying a bank loan, a home loan, right? But I also believe that there's more on top of that from cost and living and services. So, is there any money left over anymore in our lives?
Not a lot, I don't think. You look at the average families, say family of four, on average one person working, people are barely surviving.
They won't survive.
No, it's not. It's just not feasible anymore.
So what happened, man? What happened? Why has it become why has it become like this? What I mean is, why was it in my 20s? It was still affordable, and I'm talking about affordable where I could buy a property, I could buy a Harley Davidson, I could buy a sports car, and I could go to Europe.
Yeah,
I could do it, and you could be and have this plan of being the sole income earner of which I was for my family, and I could, and you could work it. Now, I think what's happened is we've all become investors on our own properties, and we love selling things high.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all it is.
And higher, and can't afford it anymore.
And plus, you have the international investments, and it becomes a runaway cycle, and it gets to the point where it's no longer sustainable. Which tells me, I think, eventually it'll come crashing down hard. It has to, because you can't go on forever.
How will it crash? Because I heard that it happened in Japan one time.
That's right, it did too. When was this? It was like 20 years ago, something.
Japan had a massive housing collapse.
Oh, look.
But even America had a massive housing collapse.
Oh, 2008. Do you remember what happened?
People were walking away from their houses.
Yeah.
And
by the millions.
And people were buying houses. My friend was buying houses for $2,000 in Texas and places like that.
That low.
Well, I'm talking $2,000, $10,000, $20,000.
Decent house.
Mate, 2-story homes on big pieces of land. Honestly, it was crazy. I mean, no one thought there would be a recovery. I don't even know if there's been a recovery. What I'm alluding to is, I'm a property investor, but I'm also looking that where it was, it's just the markets. Everyone believes. Everyone believes when you buy property, you're suddenly an entrepreneur. Where most mums and dads that bought houses were not investors. They just bought a home because they worked hard and they want to pay off and have it.
Yeah.
But everyone believes their home is this asset, and agents are convincing people to flip them for money that they shouldn't flip it for.
Look,
and I just feel these financial brokers, mortgage brokers, banks, institutes around money believe the narrative they've grown up with and the book they read, that everything has capital growth, but to the point of how much affordability?
To an extent.
Yeah.
If it's unaffordable for everyone, well, then it's going to have to crash. Because if no one's buying, no one's renting, there's no demand in the market for it.
Well, at the moment, no one can afford the rents.
No, exactly.
Chris has had an astronomical fucking rent increase. It's just. And to be honest, I'll just tell you, I don't see it the same in other states. No, everyone keeps looking at Sydney and Melbourne, and probably Brisbane. But those motherfuckers have got it so wrong, and it's unattainable.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Chris before, I think I was reading somewhere, and they were saying the government's now planning to build 50,000 extra homes just to help ease the pressure. And
I don't know if it will.
I don't think it will either, because they're not going to stop investment. I mean, they're not going to stop negative gearing, because it makes sense if you think about it. But if you have half the country homeless or surviving, something's going to have to give. It's just the way it is.
I just look at. I'll give you an example quickly. Maybe I'll use your dad. What year did he come to Australia?
So it came in late 90s.
All right, late 90s. Okay.
He spent a bit of time in New Zealand before that.
All right, but came in late 90s, and I guess. Well, it probably doesn't make sense, but we'll try it. We'll try this mathematical equation. How much did he buy the house for, you reckon, at the time?
Maybe 200,000.
All right. Did your both parents work?
My mum was a high school teacher. She stopped working probably right after we arrived.
All right. So what was your annual income of your dad or your dad and mum together?
Back then, It was, well, I guess maybe $100,000 for the whole family.
For both of them? Or your dad?
For my dad, because he was the only one working at that stage.
So your dad, wait a minute, your dad earned 50% of the value of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
So now in my suburb, houses are $3 million. I got to earn $1.5 million to match what your dad was doing. Yeah. My dad bought a house for $22,000. Eventually, my dad had no aspirations. He never asked for a pay rise. He never even asked for a supervisor's job. He wanted nothing, just to mow the lawns for the council. Eventually, my dad's wages was $30,000 a year. So my dad exceeded his house. So what I'm trying to say to you is, can anyone earn $2 million without being an entrepreneur, a CEO, which even they don't do it? What I mean is there... Can any average Joe Blow earn 50% of their house value?
Impossible.
That's what I'm saying. And that's not aspiring to anything.
No.
That's what I'm saying, how the value of homes are. You can't relax.
No. That's why there's perpetual stress now. You physically can't relax because you're literally surviving and worrying, where are we going to be the next day? What are we going to eat? And a lot of families like that. It's funny, in Melbourne, at one stage, I was in the city, and underneath Flinders Street station where there's that main bridge, there's 10 city. You don't see that unless you're in a third world country. 10 city with families. And so...
Where in Melbourne?
Flinders Street Station, the main station. There's like a bridge that comes off it.
Yeah, I know.
And so as you go along the rail tracks bridge, there was like 10 after 10 people living because physically there's no other place to go. And even my dad lives on the Gold Coast. They have an empty lot near them. He goes, from time to time, you'll see a few tents pop up illegally on that plot of land because people physically don't have a place to live.
But what I'm alluding to is your dad did it with one wage.
Yeah.
But he earned 50% of the home. So if your dad locked in for 5 years to you guys eat simple, wind your money, you probably could have paid off for 5 years. We're talking about, let's say someone is earning good money on their own. Let's say they're earning $200,000 a year. Let's say they are. But their house is worth $2 million. Like your dad had 50% of the home, and these people got 10% of the home. So what I mean is, it's unattainable.
No.
It
you have to work 10 times longer.
But I want to know how these financial institutions can convince us otherwise and tell us that buying into properties and these auctioneers telling us they're breaking records. What records are they breaking? I mean, they can't afford what they're breaking.
That's right. In the end of the day, the government always wins because think about it. If people can't pay, they default. The banks will give you a loan because they don't care. At the end of the day, the Reserve Bank covers everything that they give out anyway. Even if there's a default, that loss will be covered by the Reserve Bank anyway. So either way they win, they don't care. So the more loans they give out, it's an incentive. And but the thing is, in Australia, we have to be honest, a lot of people do not live within their means as well. That's the other issue.
No, we don't. Like I said, we don't. And I know that because... we all want to drive a sexy car and we all want to have, but
acai berry bowls.
A what?
Our acai berry bowls.
Oh, is that what you call acai?
Acai berry bowls.
Acai, mate. Acai. God, Jesus Christ. No, that one, you got an accent. Look, it is, I don't know, man. I don't know. I keep hearing about this crash thing. I think it will, but I just feel no one's paying attention here. Like
no.
They're buying also homes now that need renovating. Our parents lived in them quite simply and easily, but now you're buying homes that are, 1 million, 1.2, 1.5, $2 million, and they still got the outside dunny.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to renovate it inside and probably spend $500,000.
Exactly.
$750. What I mean, I don't know how have they convinced us? I don't know, but.
Because it's keeping up with the Joneses. Everyone wants to be that person that's looked up to. Everyone wants to, live that lifestyle, but they don't realize what they see in Hollywood, what they see online. It's not everyday life. It's not reality.
Well, Dr. Phil, you know Dr. Phil? Have you heard of Dr. Phil? Dr. Phil wrote it. He's talking to a few people at the moment. He's on every fucking podcast. He actually said there are influencers that go and buy an outfit, and they will say they're getting dressed to go to the NBA, and they'll show themselves off as that. And when they finish filming, they'll take the dress off and return it.
Yeah, absolutely. It happens a lot.
And also they don't end up going to the NBA game. But like I said, I don't know. I don't know how to... I don't know how to police it, but I do know that
I have a simple solution for you. Start OnlyFans.
we have. It's not going well. I need to clip my toenails. No. It would work. We do amazing, but yeah, Chris can only handle so
Two
much
legs is
media.
enough, I get
If
it.
I do open it, I don't know if Chris can handle me walking around in some kind of G-string. You know.
Hey, if it pays the bills, no one's judging.
Well,
Buys your house.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
There's a funny meme going around right now. It had Homer Simpson on it saying, me thinking about the fact that drug dealers and OnlyFans stars are buying houses and I can't even afford rent. There's a meme going around.
I know, man. It's great, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Stop scrolling. Do you want to score yourself $250 worth of Papa Macros meals? Now's your chance. Go to threeog.shop or
Go to Papa Macros and use the code MuscleTalks at checkout.
go get it now.
All right, let's go over the body, okay?
Yes.
We're going to go over the body, exercise sets and reps, and we're going to pick a body part. You tell me if you train it. If you do train it, just tell me sets
Go
and
for it.
reps. Traps.
Yes, absolutely. I do probably 2 different exercises, upright rows and shrugs, dumbbell shrugs.
All right.
4 or 5 sets, up to 12, 14 reps each.
Okay. Delts, the debate we had.
Yes.
Side delts.
Yes. Lateral raises either with dumbbells or machines. Lately, I'm using a lot of machines because I just love the sensation and the isolation.
Yeah.
I don't know, 6 sets, 10, 16 reps.
6 sets. Okay. Front.
Yes, probably good 4 sets because I do a lot of incline bench presses. So I'll probably do specific work, dumbbells, 10 reps, 4 sets, front raises.
Okay. Back delts.
Yeah, same thing.
Wow.
Because I do a lot of back work. Probably a machine or leaning over dumbbell movements towards the rear. Probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 sets, 10, 12 reps each.
Nice.
So I'm a bit more of a volume guy.
Okay, you are a volume, I've noticed. Back.
Yes, so back, probably good 5, 6 different exercises. Deadlifts, pull-ups, wide grip, lat pull-downs, narrow grip, and then some sort of pulling exercise. Probably, 4 or 5 sets, 10 reps.
10 reps. Oh, well, you go heavy there, don't you?
I try to.
Chest.
Yes, probably good 4 exercises. So flat bench press, incline bench press, dips, flies. Pretty old school in that
Yeah.
regard.
Sets, reps.
Same thing, 4 or 5 sets, 10, 12 reps.
All right. You seem like you did more volume on the shoulders and you push heavier on your chest and back. Bicep.
Yeah, 2, 3 exercises, probably 5, 6 sets, 10 to 14 reps.
Yeah, well,
Sometimes I'll
what
do
exercise?
probably a barbell curl, hammer curl, some sort of machine cable curl.
There's nothing like a barbell curl, man.
I know. You can't beat this old school exercise, but it really works well.
Fuck, it does.
But I try to supinate a lot more now, so you get the full motion.
Okay, tricep.
Same thing. Some sort of pull down, some sort of push movement, over the head pull.
Sets, reps.
Exactly the same. 5, 6 sets, maybe 12 reps.
I find triceps, you can be very strong in that area.
But I've naturally got very good triceps as well. I know that for a fact. So I don't have to go as crazy as some people do. They've just always blown up.
Forearms.
Forearms, not all the time, because I grip everything really hard. But I also sometimes just do some reverse curls behind the back and etc. Just I don't know, 6, 8 sets.
The reason I bring in it, because I seem to like to touch it. I usually, when it comes to my forearms, I just do a failure set on each side. So I might do that failure, and I might do that.
Yeah, I do that
failure.
sometimes too.
Just a failure, failure, and then I relax. Abs.
Yeah, absolutely. Usually at least once a week I'll do captain's chair leg lifts. Probably 3 working sets up to 30, 40 reps each.
This is the first time I have not trained abs for 6 months at all. No training.
How are you
abs.
finding it?
Good.
Yeah.
Good, because at the moment I'm finding it good. Why? Because I just feel I'm done. And when I'm being, my workout is done, and I don't want to stay any longer.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So the abs is stay a bit longer, and I don't want to. So I'm giving the abs a break, because I've heard a few bodybuilders, Olympians, say abs come from the kitchen. And,
Yes and no.
And I know, but and they've also told me, I think I've noticed my waistline is staying a little smaller without doing abs for some reason. I don't know why. Call it inflammation, which you do inflame the muscle. So I'm just not doing it. I felt strange, but at the moment, I'm happy with everything that allows me to walk out of that gym, and I just want to finish and get the fuck out.
Yeah, I get like that sometimes, and that's okay. I think if you're tired, that's why I try to do abs on like an arm day. It's a bit easier because then you have a bit more energy. But yeah, I'll do captain's chair, I'll do Roman chair, I'll do like a machine crunch, I'll do cable pull down. That's one of my favorite.
That's a good oldie and a favorite.
I don't know. Yeah,
What about sets and reps?
Abs, I do higher reps, so I'll do like 3-4 sets in exercise, but 20 to 40 reps.
That's why I don't do them.
Yeah.
I'll be there. That's why I don't.
I used to do them every day, and you know what? Because I used to do them every day for a long time, I always had lean midsection, lean-ish midsection, because of the constant training of it.
I did a lot. It's the first time I've tried this. I'm just giving it a go. I'll tell you in 6 months' time what it's like. Quads.
Quads, yeah. Legs in general, I'll do really well, really hard, probably once a week at the moment. If I need to do more, I'll do more twice a week. I've done 3 times a week before, but I think 3 is
Sets
too
and
much.
reps? What exercise and sets?
I'll start with a squat usually. Then I'll move on to a leg press and a lunge, and then 2-3 hamstring exercises. Usually, I don't know, 4 to 5 sets, maybe 10-12 reps, depending how heavy I'm going. Sometimes I'll go really low reps, sometimes very high. I'll change it around.
I've introduced from Chelsea, that bodybuilding lady, the Olympian, Chelsea, I forgot his name, Chelsea Dion. She's come 8th and 9th in Olympia. She told me to elevate my heels to put weight under there, like
Oh yeah, I've done it before.
I've seen a dramatic difference, man. A lot more pull over the quad to get down on the squat.
Because then your knee becomes an actual proper pivotal point, and all the stress on your quads.
Yeah, so the quads gets a lot of stretch.
100%.
So, and I've noticed less pressure on my knees, because if I dig into those heels,
Shifts the whole weight.
Shifts the whole weight, and I'm pushing up. So
absolutely,
something to try there. Hammies?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like stiff-legged deadlifts. They do nothing for me. I don't know. I feel a thing. I've tried variations. It does nothing. So I'll just do.
What about ideals? Is that similar to?
Yeah, same. I've never felt those exercises.
I tell you what, I do them, and I wonder the same thing.
I don't feel a thing. I get my best results from my lying down leg curls, the sitting up leg curls where you curl underneath yourself.
Yeah, of course. There's also a standing leg curls.
Standing leg curls I'll do sometimes.
I reckon the standing leg curl and the lying one are the 2 pinnacle ones.
I agree, fully.
I think the seated one is good. Everyone talks about it. But the lying and the standing, where you put your elbows and you're kicking back, I think they're the best hammies.
100% agree with you. 100%.
Sets and reps?
14 reps usually, same sort of like 4 or 5 sets each. And I really like to feel a burn towards the end. So I'll really push maybe the reps sometimes, or the weight.
Hammies are a funny place, because sometimes you don't want to overextend your knees. You know, you got to be careful when
it's one of those weird muscle groups in a way. It's like the bicep of your leg, but it's kind of not.
It's
I don't know.
I think the hamstrings is like when someone runs their fingers down a chalkboard.
Correct. That's a great analogy. That's exactly what it is.
It is. You go, hammies.
And it feels like that too when they start to burn. It's like,
I know, it does. Glutes?
I don't do a lot of specific glute work. Occasionally I'll do those hip thrusts, but mainly I just rely on deadlifts and squats to work the whole area.
When you talk about OnlyFans, I think I might, if we do anything, I'm going to get Chris doing glute exercises for OnlyFans.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I think Chris has got enough.
That's the premium membership, right?
That's definitely. What's the one where when you sit down and you push out your legs?
Yeah.
Seated.
I never do those. I've tried. It's a very hard exercise to master.
It's a bit zesty, but yeah.
Zesty.
But I think if I get Chris onto that and I film him, I think we could.
Buys your house, exactly.
All right, so we don't want to go too much more into glutes. We'll leave that for the ladies. Calves?
Yeah. Usually once a week properly, I'll do 2-3 different exercises, 4 or 5 sets, 10 to 16 reps depending on the weight.
I have to say, I've changed my thoughts around calves.
The more you do, the better with calves, I find.
But what I found is doing the Jay Cutler type, do it when you first walk in, and the eccentric, what's it called again? Eccentric. I found I'm focusing on my calves like I focus on buys and tries. Meaning, everyone ignores calves. We'll just get it done.
Yeah,
get the
it's an afterthought.
But no, not anymore. And I send a change. What about tibialis?
Not specifically.
Yeah, not either.
I find that mine's okay. I guess when I do calves, I think it kind of gets hit as a secondary thing. I never did it specifically, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, we've gone over the body. This is an opportunity to promote yourself. How about you tell people where they can find you and...
Yeah, absolutely. Find me on Instagram, Phil Strong Babitsky. I've started a TikTok account as well. It's growing. I've started recording videos. I've got to finish editing because I started a YouTube channel. So maybe...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've just started that. I'll send you the link when I get a chance.
Please do.
So I really want to grow that too because I think I honestly believe that people are always looking for a lot of great real content. What I mean by real is honest, down to earth.
Yes.
What works, what doesn't. People love that. They gravitate towards it because the market is oversaturated by, you follow this program for 12 weeks and you look exactly like me. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of that out there.
There's the Get Massive in 12 weeks and you can look like me.
Exactly.
This is the biggest.
Do you remember the original, his last name is Chan, he was on YouTube, Six Pack Shortcuts on YouTube. Do you remember years and years ago? He was the original. It's like that now. It's everywhere you look.
Everybody, you want an ass like this. But the funniest thing is, I don't know, maybe people are deciding not to use filters, but I'm seeing a lot of, loose skin on people.
I've noticed that too, actually.
Have you noticed that? Are they not using filters now? What's going on? But it seems like they're experts, but their bodies don't...
I think it's just also genetics, loose skin. I think some people just have looser skin than others. The other thing is maybe they diet too hard, they have no fatty tissue left in their ass, and eventually the skin droops. Cellulite, they get older. I don't know. There's a lot of factors maybe.
Okay. Well, mate, all I want to say is thank you so much. It's been
my
an
absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.